everybody, welcome back to the Dry Cooking Stream, to the Dry Cooking Show. I hope you're all having a beautiful Friday. If you're watching this live, it is currently 5 p.m. EDT, Friday, May 17th, and hello to all of my lovely sous chefs in the chat. Hello to Jack, hello to Trash Can Cat Mom, hello to Eliam, hello to Kaze, hello to Two Dads Kissing. It is good to see all of you. Welcome on in. Hello, hello, hello. Hello to Shy Chica. It's okay, we'll talk about that in just a second. No need to put us down immediately right from the get-go. Also, welcome on in. She is real to me. Hi. So, everybody, hello. It's good to see all of you. I hope you've all been having a really good Friday. We're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we would usually do. Also, hello to G Spent Gaming. We're going to be doing a dish that I don't typically classify within the context of home cooking, but there's going to be a lot of cooking fundamentals along the way that I think would also be important. Because guys, you know what? What it means to actually cook at home doesn't always mean purely in terms of the function of getting food into ourselves. Sometimes food is also meant to be enjoyable. And sometimes you want to have something a little bit more celebratory. Also, Mr. Passionate 88, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the 31 bits. Very sweet of you. Also, guys, really quickly before we do begin today, please follow my backup channel. Over the next month or two, we're actually going to be migrating to Daramgar TV, twitch.tv/Daramgar TV. Everybody want to hear a nice yes chef to that, please and thank you. Basically, I made this account before I was 13 years old because of Twitch and COPA laws and all sorts of different policies. They won't let me become Twitch partner on this account, and so it has to be done on another account. So over the course of the next month or so, we'll be slowly switching over to Daramgar TV instead. Also, welcome on in, Chill Wizard. Okay, so everybody, enough of that. Let's talk a little bit about what we will be doing today. I have here this lovely, incredible, kind of massive skirt steak. Okay, because today, guys, we're going to be doing a delicious skirt steak. If you want to know what we're doing at any point in time, you can always type in !menu. And we'll talk about why we're even doing a steak tonight to begin with, even though I often talk about at home how, like, hey, the things I really, really prioritize are reheatable meals, things that are really delicious, things that are really cheap to make, and a steak is something a little bit more celebratory. Granted, we're using a skirt steak. This is a relatively cheaper piece of meat, and we'll talk about exactly where the skirt steak comes from, why you should be cooking with a skirt steak or not. Although I will say, I am kind of suspicious that this is a flank steak to me, purely by the size of it and the grain of it, but we'll talk about all of that in just a second. So guys, we'll be doing a really, really beautiful skirt steak today, and the specific steak dish that I'm taking a lot of inspiration from is called poivre, right, which is essentially a peppercorn cream sauce. And so guys, one of the big stars of the show today, I have some bourbon here. Traditionally, poivre would be made with cognac, but again, this is not a super traditional poivre, so I just have some whiskey here, as well as some black peppercorns. The black peppercorns are going to be the basis of the cream sauce that we will be building today. It's going to make it nice and peppery and delicious, and we're going to be grinding it up in a mortar and pestle, and I'll talk about exactly why we're doing that. Okay, and then alongside it, my friends, we're going to be doing a really, really delicious cucumber, tomato, and blackberry salad. I really love mixing in fruits into my vegetable salads, especially with tomato, and a lot of the inspiration for the dish that I'm making today comes from the fact that I had a lot of Thai basil in my fridge. I also had a lot of leftover cilantro. A lot of what it means to cook at home is to look at what you have in your fridge and to be able to use it up. Won't you be my neighbor? Audio Murphy, I'm afraid not. I'm sorry to disappoint you. So guys, I have some lovely cucumbers here. Okay, these are Persian cucumbers. These are my ideal cucumber of choice. I really don't love Kirby cucumbers. I find them wet, and I find English cucumbers to be really waxy. I find English cucumbers to be waxy, and their taste is not nearly as good. Guys, Persian cucumbers, if you can find them, will always be my ideal. I talk so fast, so much information. Well, Mr. Passionate, that's what we do here. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask me. I have some lovely vine tomatoes. Typically, you see me cook with plum tomatoes on the show, but the reason why I'm choosing vine tomatoes is because they're a little bit tastier, they're a little bit more aromatic, and they'll be used for a salad today. And then guys, we have a lovely big old lemon. I forgot my microplane, and I did want to grab that because I did want to get some of the lemon zest out. So cucumbers, tomatoes, lemon, and then the star of the salad today, guys, is this lovely little box of blackberries. And I'm going to have an insane flex right now. Okay, I went to my store. My blackberries, guys, they were on sale. I bought a whole box for $1. $1. Now, granted, not organic blackberries or anything, but I bought a bunch of blackberries for $1. So honestly, I'm not too disappointed about that. If anybody knows what it's like to buy berries, to buy strawberries, to buy raspberries, to buy blackberries, it is incredibly expensive. And so these little guys, I got them only for $1. And so this is going to be the main component of the salad today. This is a salad I've taken a lot of inspiration from when I was in France once. There was this really like sort of south of France salad where they would use a lot of olive oil. The further south you go in France, the less butter is used, the more olive oil. So it was like some blackberries, and it had like some cucumbers and tomatoes and onions, and it was really delicious. And it was all drowned in a bunch of olive oil, and that's the kind of salad that we'll be doing today. But guys, of course, the inspiration for today's salad comes from the fact that I had all of this lovely leftover basil today. Okay, so this is a big bunch of Thai basil. I bought this for when we were doing my pho. We did the pho on Wednesday, today is Friday, and I have a bunch of this basil that I want to use up, and so we're going to be incorporating some into the sauce, as well as some into the salad today. Because guys, fresh berries, blackberries in basil, and olive oil is one of the most beautiful combinations. It's so warm, it's so aromatic, it's so fragrant, it's really lovely and really delicious. And so what I'm really just trying to show off, guys, is all of the different and exciting ways that you can use up leftover ingredients that you might have in a fridge. I find that with basil, oftentimes, because you're buying really big quantities of basil all at once, you're kind of left with a lot of it. And so guys, we keep it in a little plastic container, in a little Tupperware with some paper towel, and this will keep it fresh for a lot longer. I'm gonna say something. I think this whole method of keeping it in a jar with some water, right, and you put it out at room temperature, I think it's kind of nonsense. I don't think it keeps basil fresh from all the different times that I've tried it. My method that I use, which is Tupperware plus paper towel, is the one that does work the most effectively for me. I used to get a blackberry basil mule cocktail at a place I frequented. Yeah, that sounds delicious, G-Spent. Also, Dakota, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. I missed you so much. Okay guys, so we have a steak to do today. We have to make a peppercorn cream sauce. We also have to go ahead and make a salad. So is everybody ready for the show today? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. Also, Captain Dingus, the paper towel should be dry, because as a little bit of humidity builds up inside of the container, the paper towel is going to soak it up. Because if the paper towel is already damp, it's just going to cause it to become too wet and too mushy. So everybody, we're going to begin, and we're going to begin by talking about that beef. We'll be talking about some steak first and foremost. Everybody, this is my gorgeous, my beautiful, my lovely skirt steak, which I'm kind of suspicious may or may not actually be a flank steak. I'm not sure if my butcher lied to me, because I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the size of this thing, I'm looking at this piece specifically, and the way that it tapers, it looks like a flank steak, but that's okay. So guys, big beautiful piece of beef here. And the first thing that you might notice is the fact that it is really intensely red in color. So why is it so red in color compared to some of the meat that you would end up buying? It's because of the fact that we put it onto a sheet tray, onto a wire rack, when I bought the beef yesterday, and I let it air dry in the fridge. Anytime that you're especially making a steak, making a roast beef, anytime that you want to sear a nice piece of meat, guys, letting it air dry in the fridge is always a really good move. Because what it does is, first of all, when you buy meat, the longer that it sits out, the more water it's going to end up pushing out of it. It becomes sopping wet. When a piece of meat is wet, it's going to become more difficult for us to obtain a nice brown crust. Humidity does directly inhibit the ability for something to get nice and brown and crusty. Okay? And the second thing that we're really doing here, we're just making it easy to handle. You buy meat from the supermarket, and it is sopping wet. Okay, and then you try to take it, you put it on your cutting board, and it's sloshing liquid all over the place. So instead of, paper toweling it even, all I do, sheet tray, wire rack into the fridge. You don't have to worry about bacteria flying around. You just have to make sure other things aren't touching the beef directly. And so, Hondo, we did not salt it yet, and we'll talk about exactly that in just a moment. We're gonna cut this up into some reasonable steak sizes, and then we'll be, seasoning it up with some salt. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and have a little sip of water. And so my friends, we're going to go ahead and just cut this into slightly more reasonable steak portions, because this is a massive chunk of meat. But everybody, again, anytime that you buy meat from the supermarket, I really want you to get into the habit of not even like a sheet tray and a wire rack. You don't have to get all chefy with it. Put it onto a plate and just let it air chill hours before you're ready to cook. If you're buying chicken, if you're buying fish, if you're buying steaks, if you're buying any sort of chunk of meat, my friends, letting it air dry will significantly improve the way that it cooks. Okay, can I please get a yes, chef? But if you let it air dry a little bit too much, it's going to get a little bit funky. So give it like a flip every 8 hours or so, and don't really air dry it more than 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so guys, I have my lovely steak here, and now all that we're going to do is we're just going to cut it into a slightly more reasonable size for this. And then we'll be heavily salting it. And so because we don't have that much to do today, today's gonna be a really chill stream. We're gonna be chill. We're just gonna talk about everything that we need to do. The camera is messing up with the red color. It is intensely red. And so guys, you can take a look. This is my lovely steak here. Okay, so first thing that we need to keep in mind when we're cutting this into smaller portions, because of the fact that we want this to all cook on a pan, we have to keep in mind the width of the steak itself. And so take a look. We can see that this is the thickest part, and this is actually the thinnest part of the steak here. Why does raw steak look so good? Alex the Bean, I have been saying this my whole life. I love tartare, I love raw steaks, I love cooking them blue. This one is not gonna get cooked blue or anything, but so the thing we have to keep in mind, my friends, okay, guys, is it really that red? I don't think I can tell. I don't think my display is showing it up. So take a look, thick part, thin part. If we were to cook this entire steak as it is, if we were to cook this as a whole piece of beef, what would end up happening is this part would end up overcooking before this part would. Also, John Dahlia, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the sub. That's very sweet of you. Okay, so the reason why we need to cut this into smaller pieces is so that we can go ahead and take them out at different points in time. So again, my friends, thin part, thick part, we're just going to go ahead and eyeball it. And I'm going to tell us roughly, you know, we could even probably trim off like this really thin part, but I'm not gonna get that crazy with it. All that I'm gonna do, my friends, is just trim this right down this way. And I don't even think we'll be cooking all of the steak today. Also, Underguys and Monkey, I'm doing okay. Also, by the way, everybody, one more little update. Please check out the backup channel, twitch.tv/Daramgar TV. This channel will be migrating out of in the next coming months because Twitch doesn't allow me to become partner because this channel was made before I was the age of 13. I made this channel 9 years ago. I'm 21 years old. I made it when I was 12, and because of COPPA violations, I can't actually become a Twitch partner. So please, 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 I think the command is !backup. Please follow Daramgar TV. We're not going to move there quite yet, but it's just going to be a process over the next month or so. Also, oh my gosh, Jack, that sounds terrible. Okay, guys, so this channel is dying. Yes, the channel is going to go. It's just going to be a backup channel, but Daramgar TV is going to be my final resting place, I suppose. Okay, guys, so take a look. We have this lovely piece of beef right here. Okay, and you can see that's a little bit thinner on one end, it's a little bit thicker on another. And this is the steak that I wanted to go ahead and cut into 2 individual steak portions for today. And so we're just going to be cutting it right down the middle, my friends. Just down the middle, just like this, and with a nice sharp knife, a nice long slice. We don't want to saw through it, we just want a nice even slice, and just like that, my friends, we have 3 steaks. Now, this steak right here, I'm not actually going to end up using today, again, because this would be a little bit too much beef for my purposes, and so instead, we'll just be using these 2 little guys. Also, Gob and Tetris, I'm doing okay. Hope you're doing well as well. Also, welcome on in. How'd you find the cooking show? So guys, take a look. Here's my beautiful skirt steak. I'm pretty certain this is just a freakishly massive skirt steak. You don't typically see skirt steak actually be this big. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put it back onto the sheet tray, and we'll talk about what we need to do to it next. But first and foremost, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly move this cutting board because we no longer need it. So everybody, come take a look. This is my skirt steak. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and get my salt. So, I want to talk about a really, really big cooking misconception that was pushed by a lot of people that truthfully have no idea what they're talking about. Also, that is not my salt. Is this my salt? Okay, this is my container of kosher salt. Finally found it. Okay, so everybody, how many times have you heard, oh my gosh, you have to only season a steak just before you cook it. You have to season it just before or else it's going to dry out the steak. How many times have you heard something like that, my friends? I want to hear a nice me, chef. Also, over 400 followers already? Audio Murphy? I don't think it's that many already, is it? I've never heard that. Season it whenever. Okay. So this is the thing that people say, especially in the world of food YouTube content. This is something that people started saying one day. And I'm going to tell you something right now, my friends. That entire idea is complete and utter nonsense. The idea of salting it beforehand, and I mean like an hour or 2 or even a day beforehand, will dry out your piece of beef is complete and utter nonsense. Okay, and so we're going to be doing something called dry brining. And all that dry brining means is to season something liberally with salt or sugar, or sometimes a combination of both, okay, in advance ahead of time. And it does two things. First of all, salt and sugar, because of the fact that they're water soluble, they end up penetrating the beef itself. So by letting it sit for even 30 minutes, but ideally for like an hour or two or so, we're actually allowing the salt to penetrate instead of just forming a layer on the top. And the second thing that we're doing is we're actually increasing the moisture retention. And that would be a bit of a surprise. If you think about like, oh wait, salt dries things out, salt pulls out moisture. Well, salt will pull out some of the moisture, but it will then put some of it back in, and then it will increase the moisture retention. Basically, as the beef cooks, it is actually going to hold on to more liquid, is going to hold on to more juices, okay, than a piece of beef that we did not salt in advance. This has been something that has been tested and tested and tested time and time again. So does everybody understand? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. This is a pretty thick steak, guys. So you know what that means? It's gonna need a fairly generous seasoning of salt. I'm not gonna worry about this guy because again, this might just be my lunch tomorrow. I'm not gonna worry about him at all. But these two steaks, that's gonna be for our dinner tonight. Okay, so guys, from up high, because the higher we season a piece of beef, the larger the splash zone and the more even it's going to end up seasoning. If we do it super, super close, you guys can see that we're only seasoning in little clusters. By seasoning from nice and up high, we're increasing the splash zone, we're increasing the impact radius, and we're able to get a nice even season. And guys, I'm using kosher salt today, specifically Diamond Crystal Kosher Salt. The reason why I'm using kosher salt is because it is coarse enough for you to be able to pick up with your hands. I don't really cook with table salt because it's so fine that it falls through your hands, okay? Is there any difference using potassium chloride or sodium chloride? Hundo, I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea. I am not familiar with using potassium chloride. So guys, again, big generous pinch of salt, especially because of the fact that kosher salt crystals, because of the structure, if you look up the crystal structure of kosher salt, it's almost like an upside down pyramid. It's hollow on the inside. So you need more salt than you think you do. Even if this looks like a lot of salt, guys, I promise you it is going to be more than, it's going to be a little bit on the low end as well, okay? So let's flip them over and let's go ahead and season this side as well. And again, ooh, this container is like getting kind of empty. I need to probably refill that sometime soon. Again, guys, nice and up high so that we have a nice big splash zone. Okay, and I like to do this on a sheet tray just again so that it catches all of the salt, and putting it on a wire rack. If there's any excess moisture, guys, it's just going to go ahead and drip down. Okay, it's going to drip down instead of pooling on the bottom. So again, investing into a sheet tray and into a wire rack, guys, it is one of the best things that you can do in a home setting. It is so good for baking, it is good for cooling things, especially after you've deep fried something. It's really good for air drying, and it's really good for seasoning things. I think everybody should invest into a really nice wire rack and a couple of sheet trays. And guys, you don't need non-stick sheet trays. You just need a plain old simple aluminum sheet tray. Okay, I believe this is the Nordic aluminum sheet tray that I'm using. This isn't a product placement or anything, just a plain old metal sheet tray, guys, stainless steel or aluminum, whichever. Okay, so a little recap. We're seasoning the steaks in advance because we're doing a little something called dry brining. Okay, we're letting the salt penetrate, and not only does that evenly season the piece of beef throughout so that the salt is not just on the outside, but that also increases the moisture retention. Basically, the beef is going to hold on to more liquid as it cooks, and that's going to result in a relatively juicier steak than a piece of beef that was not seasoned ahead of time. This piece of beef will not be using for today. These will be the two steaks of choice. So get back here. I'm just going to go ahead, guys, and get this into my fridge, and we're just going to chill this out until we're ready to cook with it. Ideally, you would dry brine something over the course of 4 or 5 hours, but anything over 45 minutes, anything over an hour should have a significant effect. Chef, is chef non-stick ever useful? The answer is yes. I think non-stick is very useful if you're cooking sticky things on a low heat, something specifically like eggs, for instance. I love having a non-stick pan for that, but otherwise, I oftentimes abstain from using non-stick because its heat conductivity from a cheaper metal isn't that good, and you can't really use it on a high heat. I'm gonna go ahead and get another cutting board ready to go. And guys, as always, because of the fact that we're cooking at home, we have to clean as we go. I'm gonna quickly just throw my cutting board into the dishwasher and just quickly wash off my knife. So everybody, please bear with me and please be good while, while I just go ahead and get that done. So the beef is dry brining. We'll work on some of the salad components. We'll work on some of the seasonings, and it'll be good. Chef, do you prefer stainless steel pans or cast iron? Well, Rondo, it actually really depends on the cooking task at hand. And so let me better answer your cooking question once I am done cleaning off my knife and stuff. So just give me 1 second because I just want to focus on that really quickly. I just want to get that done. I want to get all those little beefy chunks off of it. Just scrub it up, scrub it up. Also, guys, if you haven't already done so, please check out my Patreon. My goal is to be able to do these cooking streams full-time one day, and so any and all support on the Patreon would be really, really appreciated. So, taking a second, washing up my knife, and then I will come back to all of you and answer Rondo's question in just a second. Is everybody still watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. Okay. And my knife seems to now be nice and clean. Just got all those little beefy chunks off of it. Just sanitized it, with a little bit of soap. Okay, and I'm also just gonna go ahead and throw my cutting board into the dishwasher. And as always, everybody, remember, you need to clean as you go. Clean as you go. Start off with an empty sink. Start off with an empty dishwasher. Mr. Passionate, what do I do for work? Well, I do this for work. I'm also a cooking teacher in person. I work for a nonprofit for adults and children with special needs. So I do group and private classes. And I'm also an esports commentator. So I work for Brawlhalla as a contractor. So I go and I cast live esports events. And then I am also a Super Smash Bros. Commentator whenever they have the money to hire me. Okie dokie. So guys, my beef is in the fridge. Let's go ahead and let's begin talking about our salad after, actually, I answer Rondo's question. So, Rondo, you ask me, do you prefer stainless steel pans or cast iron? And my answer is, if I had to choose, I would prefer stainless steel pans because I consider them a little bit more versatile. But at the end of the day, I think that is a bit of a misleading question because they have different uses. Different pans are good for different things. The nice thing about a cast iron pan is that they basically, if you take care of them right, they will last you a lifetime. Stainless steel pans do tend to warp. Cast iron pans you can also bring up to a much greater heat than you could a stainless steel pan because of the fact that simply the metal is thicker and heavier, and so it holds onto the heat a little bit better. Whereas with stainless steel, you don't have to baby it as much. So honestly, for my day-to-day cooking, I prefer stainless steel. One day, guys, in my dream kitchen, I'm gonna have so many beautiful cast iron pieces. I'm gonna be living by myself, so nobody messes with my cast iron pans and my carbon steel, so I can take care of them the way that I want to, season them correctly. One day, I will have a kitchen that has a lot more cast iron pieces. So yes, Shai Chica, high heat is not good for nonstick because it damages the coating, and then it also has something toxic fumes with really, really high heat. In general, we almost never really cook with high heat to begin with, which we'll talk about when we do get to cooking the steaks themselves. But yeah, nonstick pans especially never high heat. So I'm gonna go ahead and have a little sip of water. But yeah, cast iron is really nice just because of the fact that it doesn't warp over time. Stainless steel, any sort of thinner steels, they do tend to do that. Okay, my friends, we are now going to begin doing some of the prep for the salad today. And there's going to be a lot of really, really important information. Also, Mr. Passionate, I am from Brooklyn, New York. What about stainless steel in high heat? So 26 stacks. Even though you can do stainless steel in high heat, I would recommend it. First of all, warping. Second of all, hot spots. By preheating something on a medium heat for a longer period of time, you prevent hot spots from forming, and you get a much more even cooking surface. Whereas if you just do a high heat and you put some water in, it sizzles and you think it's hot, the reality is you have an unevenly heated pan. The cold spots will cause your food to stick, and the hot spots will cause your food to burn. So I never do stainless steel on high heat anyways. In my regular cooking, guys, I never really go past a medium-high heat. A medium heat, medium-high heat over a longer period of time will get you the same results. Okay, dokie. So let's go ahead and begin doing some of my prep for the salad today, guys. So I have some lovely vine tomatoes. Oh, we have some lovely cucumbers. Guys, my camera today, it is so saturated. It is like kind of deep fried at the moment. If I take the tomatoes out of here, will it be normal? No, we just have like the full color spectrum at the moment. So I think my camera is just freaking out. Okay, so I apologize for the way that this looks at the moment. Chef, do you know if hot spots is a problem with induction stoves? Yes, it is, John Dahlia. I believe I saw a couple of temperature tests where they tried to heat something up on a high heat for a short amount of time, and still, even with induction, there was a couple of hot spots formed. I'm pretty sure. And even then, induction stoves don't even recommend you to do a high heat because it can get so hot that it actually damages it. Okay. So guys, come take a look. So I don't know why my webcam is doing this today. Just leave it alone for a little bit. Also, Cuffy, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So guys, we have some cucumbers here, we have some tomatoes, and we have some lemons. Because I want a nice fresh salad, okay? And this is gonna be a chopped salad, or rather like a medium chopped salad, nothing too fine today. I've heard New York is insanely expensive. Oh, it is, Mr. Compassionate. Don't worry about that. So guys, I have 3 lovely, beautiful vine tomatoes today. And so let's talk about the kind of tomatoes that I actually want you to use here. The only tomato that I would specifically avoid using for a salad would be plum or Roma tomatoes. And the reason why is because even though they're really fleshy and they're really, really cheap, compared to other types of tomatoes, they tend to have a lot less flavor. The best tomatoes that I would recommend would be whatever is the intersection between what is in season, what is cheapest, and then what is also going to be tastiest. Vine tomatoes are good, but most often around the year, because of the fact that cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, the little guys, they're grown inside of greenhouses. If it's not the tomato season, I would recommend using cherry tomatoes. Even if they're a little bit more expensive, those are the ones that tend to be the sweetest. Okay, but we're going to begin, guys, by doing some tomato prep today. And we're going to be prepping my cucumbers and tomatoes in really similar ways. And so let's talk about this. I'm going to be putting on some gloves because, again, I have eczema and I really want to keep my hands nice and safe. Tomatoes are acidic. We're going to be cutting a bunch of wet vegetables. And so I don't want to agitate my hands any further. There is no other reason to really be using gloves inside of a kitchen aside from texture reasons, and then in my case specifically, protecting myself from eczema. Okay. So guys, vine tomatoes. When you're buying tomatoes in a supermarket, the first thing that you're really looking for is their squishiness. You're not really looking for a tomato that is falling apart squishy, but you don't want them to be like rock hard. If they're rock hard, that is a really good indication, aside from cherry tomatoes, if they're rock hard, that is a really good indication that they're not fully ripe. So whenever you're going around the supermarket, you're looking for a very deep red color. If it looks more orangey rather than red, that's also another indication, depending on variety, that it's not fully ripe. Okay? Gloves look sick is the other thing. Oh, they absolutely do look sick, don't they? Okay. So once again, guys, what you're looking for when you're buying tomatoes, you're looking for them to have a little bit of softness to them. These are a little bit firm because you get what you can get. These are the best quality tomatoes. You're looking for them to be deep red. You're not looking for them to be orange or anything. And that's how you're going to get a nice aromatic sweet tomato. Am I a cooking teacher? Yes, Mr. Passionate. I work for adults and children with special needs. So I'm a cooking instructor. I do group and private classes. But also, that's what this is. This isn't just a cooking stream. This is a cooking show. And everybody, can I please get a yes, chef? This is not just a cooking show. This is the best cooking show on Twitch. I'm here to help people learn how to cook. And so that's why I welcome any and all questions and I want to explain everything. Okay, guys. So, tomato. We gotta go ahead and get the core of the tomato out. Now, the method that I hate more than anything is seeing people take a paring knife and they go in and they dig out the core. The only time that you need to do that is if you're getting whole slices of tomato. Otherwise, by that repetitive sawing motion back and forth, you're basically destroying the inside of the tomato. That sawing motion is just battering and destroying that soft, delicate, supple, tender flesh of the tomato, guys. Tomatoes you need to be delicate with, and in order to be delicate, I'm going to show you how we get the core out. We have a nice sharp knife, okay? And all that we're going to start by doing, guys, we're just going to slice it in half directly through the core of the tomato. And we're going to do that with each of my 3 lovely vine tomatoes. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. And guys, we're not chopping, especially with how papery tomato skin is. You need to slice through it. If you chop it, if you do a vertical motion, guys, you're going to end up crushing the flesh of the tomato and all of the liquid is going to end up spilling out. You need a sharp knife for tomatoes. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you're ever struggling cutting through a tomato, it's because your knife is dull. So tomato cutting is not supposed to be messy. Okay? Okay, Shy Chica, I appreciate it. Thank you. So guys, take a look. We have all of my lovely tomato tomatoes cut in half, excuse me. Okay, and all that I want to do, I'm gonna hold the tomato with my non-dominant hand, my submissive hand. My dominant hand holds my knife, and then we're just going to go ahead and make 1 incision, 2 incisions. And again, we're not chopping when we make that incision. We slice it. And then guys, take a look. The quarter of the tomato just easily pops out. What do I do to maintain my knives? So Coffee, I don't actually do anything myself. I go and I get my knives professionally sharpened because I have very expensive knives and I don't trust myself with a whetstone yet. I would love to do a knife sharpening class one day. Okay, so guys, again, we take the tomato. Again, I want you to look at something. Look at my finger positioning. I'm not putting my fingers here. I'm keeping my fingers out of harm's way, and I'm sort of cupping the tomato as I make the incision. That's how we keep ourselves safe, despite the fact that we're cutting towards ourselves. What do I do if I'm ambidextrous? Well, pick your favorite hand in that case. What's your favorite chef's knife? Good question. So this isn't really a chef's knife. This is my Mizuno UX10. My favorite chef's knife at the moment is the Kramer's Willing Carbon Steel knife. And I'll show that off in just a second. How do I handle when somebody was mean to you, but they were right to do so? Well, Jack, hold on. First thing is, you have to understand, if somebody was mean to you, right, and you've done something really, really wrong about that, the first thing that you need to do is acknowledge that, okay, maybe in that moment, it's not gonna be the best thing to actually police their tone and how they communicated it to you. In the future, the best thing that you can do is communicate how, hey, I think the way that you said this to me could have been a little bit more direct, it could have been a little bit less abrasive, it felt like you were being intentionally cruel of it. But ultimately, the first thing that you need to do is just listen and have some humbleness and humility, and apologize for that thing, understand what you did wrong, if you think it's fit, if you think it's a real thing that you did wrong, and change it. Also, Rondo, I do not love ceramic knives, not at all. That is some slander. So guys, all of my lovely little tomato quarters, you can see we got them all out, and we're not using this paring knife method, we're not sawing the flesh. And now let's think about the size of the tomato that we actually want to end up cutting here. This is going to go into a salad. And for me personally, I do not like having massive, massive chunks of tomato in a salad. How many times, guys, have you been eating a salad, you come across this big wedge of tomato, you can't get it with anything else, so you stab into the tomato, you try to put it in your mouth, the sides of it, all of that acidic tomato juice and all that dressing goes up against the edge of your lips, and all that you're chewing on is a big piece of tomato. How many times has that happened to you? For me, my friends, the beauty of a salad is in its heterogeneity. It is the beauty of getting a lot of different things in a single spoonful, in a single forkful. So I don't want massive chunks of tomato inside of my salad. Okay, I want to think about the size of all of my ingredients, and I want to cut them roughly to the same size, although you can play with it as much as you would like. Okay, so I'm a really big chopped salad guy. Now for today, we're not going to do like a super finely chopped salad because, we have a bunch of blackberries. I want them to sort of match the size of the blackberries. So I'm going to show you what we do here, okay? First thing that I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to cut it in half, just like this, okay? Around the equator, I suppose, of the tomato, okay? And then we're just going to go ahead and cut this bad boy in half, and then into quarters with some diagonal cuts. Ready? And just take it and into quarters. Beautiful. How do I get my necklace ring on? Good question, with a screwdriver. It actually does not come off. It doesn't come off, so it's shower safe, it's everything. Okay, so guys, take a look. This is the size of tomato that I'm going for. So again, these are pretty chunky pieces today because I'm looking for them, we're not looking for them to completely disappear within the salad today, but in fact, maybe that's a little too big. Let's try doing them in thirds. So guys, cut it into thirds, just like this first, okay? And then let's go ahead and cut it in half. Nice sharp knife, my friends, so that we can cut through the skin, and then nice quarter cut. Okay, give it a bit of a rotation, hold it up, and it's going to be a little bit tricky to do the second side, but I bet we can do it, okay? And quarter cut, my friends, all the way through, beautiful. And now I think that's a little bit better for the chunk of tomato that I'm looking for, okay? I'm not doing a straight down cut like this and like this because of the fact that it's bulbous. I'm matching the curvature of the tomato so that we can go ahead and have a much more evenly chopped up tomato, guys. So same with this one, take a look. There you go. And cut it in half, cut it into quarters, take the whole thing, give it a nice little rotation, okay? And let's go ahead and cut it once more. Beautiful. Look at all of these pristine chunks of tomato, my friends. You know what? That's not a bad tomato. Guys, I gotta say, anytime that I get a decent tomato that's not like from a farmer's market, I do get genuinely impressed. That's not a bad tomato. Okay guys, so once again, same thing. We're gonna cut it into thirds, and again, cut it to the size that you would like. But again, I love chopped salads. I love it when everything is just able to fit in with each other. I do not love just like massive chunks of one thing, okay? What is my least favorite thing about cooking? Mr. Passion, I gotta say, it's the dishes. And so, I'm getting a little bit better about reusing some plates, reusing some dishes, so that I wouldn't have a pile of it at the end of the day. And that's been something I'm trying to make a little adjustment to with recent time. Okay? But yeah, the cleaning part is always gonna be really difficult, and that's something that professional chefs don't really need to worry about because of the fact that you have a dishwasher on hand. Okay? Everybody, one last one. Ready? And let's go ahead, cut that into thirds, cut it in half, and then that's 1/4 all the way through. Give it a little rotation and cut it once more. Now, you need a sharp knife to have effectively cut tomatoes this way. Otherwise, you would have been squishing it, you would have been struggling with the skin. If your knife is dull, go sharpen it. But if your knife is dull and you have tomatoes that desperately are begging to be cut, do not cut the skin side first. This is my advice. This is my, ideally, okay, look, we're going to just do like a little bit of troubleshooting here, okay? Ideally, the first thing, you would have nice sharp knives. If you don't have sharp knives available to you, for whatever reason, let's say you were in between sharpening your knives, you're cutting it flesh side first. Because the flesh, you can be a lot more gentle with, even with a dull knife, and then once you get to the skin, it can be nice and firm. If you had a dull knife, in fact, I'm going to actually, just for the sake of the argument, I want to show the difference to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and take this ancient dull Wusthof steak knife. It's dull, like, guys, it's exceptionally dull. So I want to show you all something. Is everybody watching? I want to hear a nice yes chef. I'm going to do a little experiment for y'all, okay? So I want you to see the difference between me taking it and cutting it like this first. Oh, actually, that kind of cut fine. I think this might be easier if I had a whole tomato, which I don't have. Versus a nice gentle slice this way. We're gonna struggle still with the skin at the end of it ultimately, but to get through this tomato like this, we need to like really crush it, guys. Look what happened. Because the sawing isn't gonna be that effective at that stage. If you have a dull knife, do the flesh side first. I don't want you to have a dull knife. Ideally, you wanna have a nice sharp knife. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and scoop up all of my tomatoes and get them into a nice big bowl. And now we're going to do what I consider to be one of the most essential parts of a tomato salad that people forget about. Okay, so we'll talk about that in just a moment, guys. First and foremost, all of my beautiful little tomatoes, all of them go right inside. Okay, there you go. That's right, Trash Can Cat Mom, you spoiled it. You spoiled it for everybody. We're going to be salting these tomatoes, and we're going to be salting them heavily. But the first thing that I need to do, guys, really quickly, I just need to go ahead and refill on my supply of salt. My salt container is running a little bit low at the moment. And then I'm also just going to wipe off the station because my cutting board got really wet. And we have other things to chop. So guys, keep your station nice and clean as you cook. Okay, so that's right here. And where is my little container of kosher salt? There she is. I'm just gonna go ahead and refill this thing really quickly. And we'll salt the tomatoes, and we'll talk about why we're salting the tomatoes. Come on, buddy. All of that kosher salt. There we go. That's my little salt then, my little salt jar. Okay. Okay, guys, so tomatoes are incredibly wet. They're super wet. Now, if you were to serve a salad immediately, it would be still nice and juicy. Also, Sam as well. Welcome on in. Okay. Yes, coffee. We already did season it with salt, though. It's already sitting in the fridge. So, guys, I have a bunch of tomatoes here. As you might have noticed from how wet my cutting board got, okay, the tomatoes are really saturated full of water. Imagine you perfectly season your salad. You had tomatoes, you had cucumbers, you had all the different vegetables that you wanted. Okay? And then you're like, wow, this tastes great. You put it into the fridge. You come back 10 minutes later, and it is in a pool of its own liquid. And yeah, underestimated monkey, I have no idea why it's being like this today. I could theoretically plug it back in, something like that, but let's not worry about it at the moment. Okay? You're gonna come back, and your salad is going to be completely full of water. Also, Strong Bad Eagle, thank you so much for the grade. How'd you find the cooking show? Welcome on in. So, we're going to pre-salt this in advance, my friends. We're going to salt and season the tomatoes, first of all, to go ahead and get fully penetrated with salt so that it's nice and evenly seasoned all the way through. Okay, and the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to get all of the liquid out and strain it out. That way, our salad is going to be nice and fridge stable. Also, welcome on in, Free Eating Rose. It's lovely to have you. Hello, hello, hello. So guys, we're going to need what looks like too much salt because a lot of the salt is going to just simply dissolve into the extracted liquid of the tomatoes. So we need too much salt, guys. So you see how aggressive this amount of salt is? It's gonna be too salty now. You take a bite of this tomato now and you're gonna be like, ew, yuck, gross. But some of it is gonna penetrate, the rest of it is gonna be in that dissolved tomato liquid. And so, instead of using a spoon, instead of using any sort of utensil, guys, we want to be nice and delicate with the tomato, especially because of the fact that we just salted it. So we're just only going to mix this up by hand. And I'm not destroying it. All I'm doing, guys, is I'm gently picking it up. We don't want to squish the tomato. We don't want to crush the tomato. All you want to do, guys, is just lift it, and you can see, guys, look at the amount of liquid that's already oozing out of the tomato. Imagine 10, 20, 30 minutes with the salt, how soggy that would have normally made your salad. Chat, do we want soggy salads? I want to hear a nice no, chef, please, and thank you. Okay, so we salt it, drink it. Oh, Jack, that water is so salty. It is so salty. I don't think I'm going to drink it, okay? And the bigger your tomato is, beefsteak tomatoes, vine tomatoes, okay, the more water it's going to have. The smaller your tomato, the more flesh and skin ratio it has to its inner seeds, to its inner liquid, and the less water it has. Guys, look at the amount of liquid that is already coming out. And so we're just going to let this sit in a bowl. We don't want to immediately put it into a strainer because that means all of that salty liquid is just going to get immediately strained out. We need to let this properly sit with its own salt and slowly extract that liquid, okay, my friends? Nice and slowly is going to be the way to go. 20 to 30 minutes, and we're not going to do it anything past that. Past 20 to 30 minutes, I find that my tomatoes end up getting somewhat mushy. It sort of like over extracts too much liquid and then it sort of ends up becoming really, really soft. So the difference between kosher salt and non-kosher salt. So let's talk about this. So what is kosher salt to begin with? Kosher salt, depending on the brand, is actually going to be a different structure. It's going to be a different size. This is diamond crystal kosher salt. Kosher salt traditionally was used for something called koshering, which is a type of meat preservation. But basically, kosher salt is this really coarse salt, meaning we have big crystals, but those big crystals are essentially hollow on the inside. If you were to, guys, go ahead, I want you to Google right now what a kosher salt looks like under a microscope. It's this almost upside down pyramid shape. So even though it looks like big crystals, it's hollow on the inside. And why is this important? This lets us get a nice big pinch of salt with our hands. Table salt is so fine that it easily seeps through your fingers. But kosher salt lets you pick it up with your hands and it lets you season with your hands. And because of the fact that it's hollow, it really lets you control the amount of salt that you're adding. This is something different to, let's say, we have whole sea salt crystals, where it's like these dense, crunchy, big things of salt, super, super dense, and it doesn't melt as easily. It doesn't dissolve as easily. Because of the fact that these crystals are hollow, it's big enough for us to pick it up, but still empty enough that it dissolves easily. Does that make any sense, guys? Does that answer your question? So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that salt now, and we'll have a little sip of water. So guys, at the moment, all that we have happening, my steak is sitting with the salt, my tomatoes are sitting with the salt. Is normal salt non-kosher? Well, yes, kosher salt has nothing to do with kosher as in the dietary designation. Again, the word kosher comes from koshering. So is normal salt non-kosher? Yeah, it's not kosher salt. Kosher salt specifically refers to the crystal size. And the different brands that would call kosher salt, they do make it differently. Diamond crystal is considered the culinary standard. Morgan's kosher salt is a lot more dense. Okay, so those are the big brands, at least in the United States. Okay, wash off my hands really quickly. And guys, really quickly, I also want to go ahead and grab my microplane. So I just need 1 second and I'll be right back. I forgot my microplane in my knife bag. And we're going to need that a little bit later on today. Okie dokie. Hi, Clementine. Welcome on back. It's lovely to have you. Well, welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Okay, guys. So Again, these are the kinds of salads that I love keeping in my fridge. These are the kinds of a salad that, hey, whenever you have lunch the next day, whenever you have dinner the next day, you can just have it ready to eat and ready to go. Those are my ideal kinds of salads. Okay, and that is why specifically I cannot stand lettuce. I hate lettuce more than anything. And let me tell you why I hate lettuce. First of all, it goes bad so quickly. Second of all, depending on the kind of lettuce that you're getting, it's expensive. Third of all, it is majority water, very insignificant nutritional value, and the only thing that it really provides is a crunch and sometimes bitterness. I am a lettuce hater. None of my salads will ever feature lettuce. I love cucumber salads, I love tomato salads, because these are the kinds of salads that can stay in the fridge. You make a lettuce salad, and it's only good for that first day. Trust me guys, put that lettuce salad into the fridge and see just how long it lasts. The lettuce is just going to wilt immediately. But cabbage, on the other hand, Rando, cabbage, kale, that sort of thing, it's really, it stands up to that a lot better. So I'm not including cabbage, I'm not including kale, I'm talking about lettuce, I'm talking about radicchio. Okay, so is there a difference between flake salt and kosher salt? Yes, flake salt is really big white crystals. Okay, so guys, all that we're going to go ahead and do, we're just going to slice it off. And spinach does wilt. I love cooking with spinach. I never really like spinach in a raw context. I love spinach purees. I love doing creamed spinaches and so forth. So guys, I have some lovely Persian cucumbers. Sometimes they're also, excuse me, I burped. They're also unfortunately sold as Israeli cucumbers, right? That would be a similar type of cucumber, except they're just grown in different areas. Okay, but guys, I have some Persian cucumbers here. And yes, we will be keeping the cucumber skins, and we did scrub it nice and dry. Okay, so I do not like English cucumbers. The cucumbers that you can typically buy in a Western supermarket, right, the most common variety is English cucumbers. English cucumbers, they come pre-packaged in like the plastic, okay, and they're really waxy. They have like a real waxiness to them. They don't have a juiciness to them, and they just kind of suck. A lot of people who say they hate cucumbers, they only kind of grew up eating massive slices of English cucumbers in obnoxious side salads from mediocre restaurants. You know the salads I'm talking about. Iceberg lettuce, 3 cherry tomatoes, 2 slices of English cucumber, served with a bunch of ranch dressing. That is not a salad. Guys, these are beautiful aromatic Persian cucumbers. If you can, buy Persian cucumbers. Please. Is spinach frozen a taboo for you? No, not at all, Jack. In fact, frozen vegetables can be really good. Just sometimes they have some preservatives in them. But, you know, it just depends on whatever is cheaper, really, okay? Okay, so guys, English cucumbers, I'm just gonna say right now, I don't think they're very redeemable. The only thing that I really like about an English cucumber is putting it in some water and making like hotel water with some citrus or something. So Marlon, I don't think cherry tomatoes are bad in salads. They're only bad when they're whole. But if you slice them in half, they're much easier to stab. But I hate whole cherry tomatoes in salads because they roll around a lot. Okay, so we have these 4 beautiful Persian cucumbers, and now we have to think about the size that we actually want to end up cutting them. Okay, so I'm going to first just take each of them and slice them into half so that we have a nice flat bottom. Okay, God, I miss her. Nice flat bottom, slice it nice like this. So guys, it doesn't roll around on the cutting board. It's a lot more inconvenient to cut a cucumber like this when it's spinning around, when it's rolling around. Okay, so nice all the way through, just like this, because it gives us a little bit of stability, and because I'm looking for slightly smaller chunks. I'm looking for something to match the size of my blackberries, and I'm looking for something to match the size of my tomatoes. Okay, and I'm also going to put some gloves on again, because again, I'm working with wet things. Even if they're not explicitly acidic, they are wet. So again, I just want to keep my hands nice and safe for my own eczema. Okay, so all of my Persian cucumbers have been sliced in half, not English cucumbers. I'm an avid Persian cucumber hater. Okay, let's go ahead and roll up my sleeves, and let's go ahead and chunk it up, my friends. We're just gonna go ahead and chunk it up. And so, first thing we have to figure out is the kind of slice that we actually want. I'm going to do this on a slight bias, like this, meaning at a slight angle, because I think it's really pretty that way. Okay, instead of just doing a straight cut, although a straight cut would be just fine too. But not a very aggressive bias, just something like this, my friends. Nice slice through, and not too thin, not too thick. Something with a good chunkiness to it. Okay, so just imagine the size of the cucumbers that you want in your salad ideally, and that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm not looking for paper thin slices, because paper thin slices, they don't last as long in the fridge. They tend to get a little bit mushy. Okay? These cucumbers, really aromatic today. Wow, very happy with that. Okay, take it, and the wider my cucumber is, the less aggressive my angle is going to be, because I don't want to get like too wide of a cucumber slice. Okay, and I'm looking for a really, really big batch of salad today, guys. I want the salad to just be here for all of my meals in between my streams, okay? And that is the point of making chopped salads, okay? So guys, again, we're just slicing through. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? I love how many questions you guys have been asking me today. That is the ideal way to go. So all we're doing, we're just adjusting. So take a look. You see how thick this cucumber is? If we were to slice this on an aggressive angle, we would get massive, massive pieces of cucumber. So instead with this guy, I'm just gonna cut him flat. I'm gonna cut him flat because this way, he's going to match the size. This is my angled cucumber, this is my flat one. So that they go ahead and match it. No more, Elon. We're not going to reverse it. We're not going to do the reverse here because it's not a thick steak. We're doing a skirt steak today, and because of how thin they are, they don't benefit from it. So we'll be purely doing it on a pan, but normally with thick steaks, I do love doing a reverse here. So love the suggestion, but just not today. So these are not like zucchini in texture at all. No. They have a really nice crunchiness to it. Chef, if I were to reseason my cast iron, should I get it sand/particle blasted? Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I can't really speak for the efficacy of sand or particle blasting it, but you do you. You know? Torino, what's up? It's lovely to have you. Okay. And honestly, even though I cut up this many cucumbers, I kind of want to have the same amount of cucumber as I have tomato. And I'm looking at this pile, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just not use this other one. This last one, guys, I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave them aside for something else later on, because I'm just keeping in mind my ratios and keeping in mind my proportions here, okay? So last one, let's just go ahead and once again, guys, chunk it up. Just chunk it up into the size of the cucumbers that you want in your final salad. Okay, something like that, beautiful. Okay, and you and I, my friends, we're going to go ahead and probably, we're gonna also salt these. I gotta stop munching on them. But in an effort to use slightly less dishes, I'm going to salt the cucumbers after I salt the tomatoes, and I'll use this bowl to salt the cucumbers. Similarly with the tomatoes, guys, cucumbers are really wet. We wanna get rid of some of that excess liquid from it so that our salad is not sopping wet. Guys, take a look from just a little bit of sitting with the salt. Okay, look at how much liquid we have extracted out of the tomatoes. Again, all I'm doing is I'm just lifting it up. I'm just gently tossing it in on itself. Okay, and I'm putting my tomatoes aside. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna be better. In an effort to, you know, just like use less dishes, I'm gonna try to use that same bowl. Can I salt them together? So, Trash Can Cat Mom, theoretically, yes. Why am I hesitant? I'm hesitant because they take different amounts of time. The cucumber needs like less salting, I would say, than the tomatoes do, because we have less water out of it that we want to extract. I don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. That's one of the first times that I'll say I don't know. So chef, chop or slice cucumber. With cucumbers, it doesn't really matter because we don't have to worry about crushing them as much unless we're doing thin slices. But in general, in the kitchen, we try to slice as much as possible unless we're doing something really tough like a butternut squash or something, okay? So if I didn't specify, typically slice, but if we're cutting through bone, if we're cutting through a potato, if we're cutting through a carrot, then those are usually gonna be chops. Okay, so once again, just drying off my cutting board. Okay, and as always, guys, I have a nice waste bowl ready to go. Let's go ahead and move on to Mr. Onion, and we'll talk about the way that I want you all to process the onion for today's salad. So we're gonna actually be doing this in the final salad bowl, and I'll talk about why. So here's my final salad bowl. Okay guys, here is the head, here is the root. You can use any kind of allium that you would like for your salad, of course. I love red onions just because of how pretty they are. They're nice and red and purple and really, really pretty, okay? So we're gonna slice the head of it off. Okay, so this is the root end. And we're also gonna slice off the root end. I know I just introduced him, but I just killed him as well. Okay, and then guys, we're just going to take this and slice it right down the middle, just like this. And now that that has been sliced, we can easily peel the onion, my friends. Okay? And so we cut off the root today because we're just going to be slicing it lengthwise. And we will be properly slicing it. Also, Moilan, thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, guys, if you want to support the cooking show, please check out my Patreon. Type in !mark Patreon. My goal is to be able to do this full time one day, and so any and all help would be really appreciated. Okay, so guys, come take a look. Here's my onion. Okay, we're going to try to get fairly thin slices. And the reason why I'm not talking like paper thin, but it's because biting into a massive chunk of raw onion tends to be quite unpleasant. It tends to be quite harsh, right? It's just going to be really pungent. It's going to be really strong. And so we want the onion to be relatively smaller than some of our other pieces, okay? And so I'm debating, do I want to do it like this first? Nah, we're just going to do it like this, guys. So once again, we just take it and we slice it. We slice it and we don't chop it. We use the full length of the knife that we have, my friends. Because if we chop it, we end up crushing it and we're going to end up crying more. Nice, fairly thin slices, guys. Again, I'm not looking for like a paper thin. Just imagine what you would like in a salad. If your red onion is especially thick, use half of it, okay? We don't want this to be overpoweringly oniony. But nice, small slices, guys. Slice it, slice it, slice it, slice it, and slice it all the way through, okay? Let's go ahead and grab this bad boy. Throw him into the bowl. Chef, is a big knife ideal for slicing? Yes, a big knife is ideal for slicing anyways, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because the entire point of slicing is to have minimal vertical force. Also, Rondo, thank you. Also, wait, are you located in Ukraine right now at the moment? So yeah, the reason why a nice long knife is ideal for slicing is because it gives you a lot more surface area. Compare this to something like the length of a petty knife. I know this still has the case of it on, but because of the fact that it's shorter, it doesn't let us get as long of a slice. Basically, the longer of a knife, the better. That's why you would see Japanese sushi chefs, when they sort of break down massive things of tuna, they have very big knives. And you need a big knife so that you don't have to saw through it, so that you can get in one elegant motion. This is my gyudo, but typically your typical Western chef's knife, guys, it's just gonna be long enough, okay? So once again, we're cutting it, and we're cutting it into nice, small slices. Small, not paper thin, not too crazy about it, okay? But just small enough. All right, I see you, Rando. Well, take care. Thank you for stopping by. Just slice it up, and then guys, whenever the side gets a little too wobbly, right, instead of having a finger slip, just flip it over. Flip it over, and let's do this side too. And this is how I wanted to cut my onions today for the salad, and we're only using one onion. The onion would be otherwise really pungent, it would be really strong, it would be super overpowering. Okay, so guys, we have here a bunch of raw onion. Imagine how this tastes. I want you guys to imagine those same really garbage American side salads with big chunks of raw onion. I want you to think about the salad that you would get from a pizza place where they put like massive pepperoncinis, where they just put massive chunks of onion. Is it pleasant to eat? To bite into a raw chunk of onion? Just like, I mean, for some of you guys, sure, if you swing that way, then go ahead. But chat, do we like to bite into a massive chunk of raw, pungent onion? I want to hear a nice no, chef, from everybody watching, please and thank you. Okay? Yes, chef? I like a little bit. I like a little bit occasionally, but everything in moderation, my friends. Okay, so we don't have to live like that. We can make it better than that. We can actually kill a good amount of the pungency of the onion with our friend here, Mr. Lemon. Okay? The presence of acid, something like vinegar, something like lemon juice, by soaking the onion inside of said vinegar or inside of said lemon juice, we actually kill a significant amount of the pungency. If you don't want any acid inside of your salad, another method is to do ice cold water, let it soak in ice cold water and rinse it out, and do that a couple of times. But guys, a little bit of lemon juice is going to go such a long way for us. It's going to go a long way. It's going to essentially marinate the onion, and it's going to kill a lot of that pungency. It's going to kill a lot of the spiciness of it. Okay, but first, before we do get the juice out of Mr. Lemon, okay, we're going to go ahead and get the lemon zest, because we have a whole lemon. Let's go ahead and get as much flavor out of it as possible. I want to get all of these delicious aromatics, my friends. So this is called a microplane, okay? This is called a microplane. I really recommend picking one of these up. It's good for so many things, Parmesan cheese and zesting especially. So here's what we do, guys. Here's the technique. We're going to hold this in our dominant hand. We're going to hold the lemon in our other hand. And we don't really move the lemon as much as we just move the zester instead. And that way, we get all of the zest, guys. You see the white part under the zest? That's called the pith. We don't want the pith because it's bitter, but all of the lemon zest, that is where the majority of the aroma and the flavor of a lemon lives, my friends. So take a look, take a look. We get all of this beautiful lemon zest, okay? And we're just gonna dump that directly in here because this is the final resting place of my salad. So guys, just take it and we're just zesting it up. And we don't have to use all of the lemon zest because, you know, it'll just be like a little too lemony, maybe a little too overpowering, but it's okay. We're making a big old batch of salad today, guys. Let's get all of it nice and zesty, just like all of you guys, okay? Pith didn't know. Was that a pun, Shy Chica? Did you just make a pun? Okay, and so now, guys, we're going to go ahead and juice up Mr. Lemon, okay? Okay, so here's my lovely lemon. And guys, again, I do not like squeezing with my hands to get lemon juice out. I find it to be a big waste of time. I find it to be really, really difficult. I find it to be strenuous, especially if it's a really hard lemon. Okay, so instead, guys, pick up a citrus juicer, pick up a citrus press, something like this. These bad boys, really, really nice. Here's how you use one. Okay, big misconception. People put it flesh side up because they think it has to fit into it. That is not the case. You do it flesh side down, okay? Flesh side down, just like this. And all we're going to do, guys, is we're gonna take it and we're going to juice it. And this is a tabletop one, so we don't just have to use it in our hands. Juice it and pour it all over my lemons, guys, okay? So I'm telling you, again, investing into a citrus press is a life-changing culinary decision. It makes it so much easier and you get so much more juice, guys, especially if you have more than one lemon of juice, but I just sometimes just use it for a half a lemon, okay? That's it, nice and easy, okay? A tiny little lemon squirt, yeah, Andres and Monkey, maybe not the juiciest lemon today. Okay, I'm just tasting it to see how much we did even end up getting out. So here's what we're going to do. So this is going to soak right now with the lemon juice, and the lemon zest is in here because, again, this is going to be the final place for the salad. But I'm actually not going to put the rest of the lemon juice inside. Instead, I'm going to put it into a separate container. And that's because you never actually really know how acidic your lemon is going to be until, you know, you do end up using it, okay? And so what we'd like to do instead, we want to go ahead, we want to put this into a separate container. It's always easier to add more than it is to take something out in cooking, okay? It's easier to add more, depending on the thing, of course, than to take something out, okay? Can I please get a yes, chef? So we're going to go ahead and juice this one up too, guys. Go ahead, take it. Let's get all of that lemon juice, and let's go ahead and flip it around. Get every single last drop of it out. Okay, and again, this lemon juice is going to be purely as needed. So we might not necessarily need it at all, but I just didn't want to have to pull out my citrus press again, just in case. Just go ahead and get that done and out of the way. And now we no longer need Mr. Citrus Press. Just that easy. Also, Lana, hello, it's lovely to have you. Welcome on in. Okay guys, a little bit of a recap session. In my fridge at the moment, my steaks for today, they're sitting with some salt so they could dry brine and get nice and juicy because it's going to increase the moisture retention. At the moment, we have some tomatoes sitting with some salt. We have my onions marinating essentially with the lemon juice and the zest. And it's sitting here with the lemon juice because this is how we kill some of the pungency of the onion. We have to finish up the rest of the salad. We have to do the prep for the sauce, cook the steaks, assemble the salad, and then we can go ahead and eat. I'm doing okay today, Lana. Hope you're doing well. Also, guys, again, type an exclamation mark back up in the chat. This channel, we're not going to be using it soon. We're going to be migrating to a different channel because I'm not going to be able to get partner on this channel because this channel was made before I was 13 years old, 9 years ago. And so we're going to be slowly migrating to a different channel. Please follow Daramgar TV. It's really, really important, guys. We're going to be setting a date. We're not moving in quite yet, but we're going to be setting a date to a different channel and it will all be okay. So guys, all of my onions right here, all of my cucumbers have also now been chopped up. Let's go ahead and think about what else we need to do for the salad today. And let's go ahead and check on the tomatoes. So my tomatoes have been roughly sitting with the salt for about, I want to say something like 20 minutes or so. Okay, guys, take a look at the sheer amount of liquid that has started coming out of them. Okay, all of that, guys, all of this tomato liquid, all of this tomato juice would have ended up making our salad soggy. And that is precisely why we're having it sit with the salt, guys. Sit with the salt. Your account never aged. What's its secret? Funny. Okay, so guys, we have let it sit with the salt for about 20 minutes. I don't want it to sit more because after that point, we're going to start getting like a mushy tomato, and that is not what I'm looking for. Hello, Natalie. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Okay, so my tomatoes have officially sat with the salt. And now, all that we're going to do is I just want to demonstrate for you guys just exactly how much tomato juice we have extracted from these bad boys. Okay? Just in this little process alone, and they're going to still sit with the strainer a little bit longer. Guys, look at all that tomato juice, and it's really salty. I don't recommend drinking this as it is, but all of this would have ended up inside of a salad, and it would have ended up making it soggy. And now we're also just going to let this sit. So, Jack, I'm not going to do that because this had some raw meat inside of it, okay? Can you do something with the juice? I mean, I don't know. You could put it in a soup if you would like, I suppose. And we're losing a little bit of flavor this way, but ultimately what we're getting is we're getting a salad with a lot more longevity. So we put it back into the strainer, and we're just going to continue to let this drip out for the next few minutes or so, and then we'll do the same exact thing with the cucumbers, okay? So we're letting this drip dry now. We're not going to be too aggressive with it. I'm being a little too aggressive. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, and I'll set a timer for about 10 minutes. There is no exact amount of time on how long something like this is going to take. It's just completely by feel. Okie dokie. So let me go ahead and have a little sip of water. Okay. And the spoon, I can just go ahead and put that back over here. Let's go ahead. My ragu turned out lovely. Oh, Lana, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for the advice. I barely gave you any advice. You did most of that on your own. You did amazing with it. Okay, so guys, let's go ahead and let's talk about my beautiful blackberries. Okay, so here's my blackberries. I don't think they're showing up on the camera all that well. Once again, my biggest flex, okay? I bought these blackberries for $1. I bought an entire box of blackberries for $1, which I gotta say I am incredibly happy about. I could not be happier about it. Okay, I cannot. I was ready to pay like $4 for a little box of blackberries. Okay. Are they good? Oh yeah, they're good. I already sampled quite a few of them. I'm so happy about this, guys. $1 for all of these blackberries, and I ate like a handful of them already, as it is. Okie dokie. So, here's the thing though. Berries are very inconsistent to cook with. Guys, I'm sorry about the camera today. I know that it's acting up. First of all, what I did was after I soaked them a little bit, because they're oftentimes covered in pesticides, sometimes they have some dirt. Guys, Tupperware, paper towel, and that is how I keep them fresh in the fridge. Okay, once they're nice and dry, put them on a paper towel, Tupperware into the fridge. Okay, but let's go ahead and just throw this into the dishwasher now. Okay guys, so we have all of these really, really beautiful blackberries. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to evaluate them for their sweetness. Okay, these are amazing. I cannot believe that these cost $1. I genuinely cannot believe it because they're so good. What is going on with my camera today? Look at this thing. This thing is being ridiculous. I think it's because of my blackberries that they're like, whoa, we gotta adjust this somehow. Okay, so let's say your blackberries are not sweet. Let's say you buy some raspberries. You can do blackberries, you can do raspberries, you can do strawberries. Guys, this is a salad that once again, I got inspired by. This is a salad that is typically eaten in the south of France. It's just a bunch of olive oil, berries, and tomatoes and cucumbers, and it's really delicious. But let's say that your blackberries are not sweet. You can do something called macerating them. And all that macerating them is essentially putting some sugar on it, letting it sit in the fridge, and then draining out the excess liquid, and sometimes you do a little bit of lemon juice in there as well. If your blackberries are too tart, if they're too acidic, if they're flavorless, a little bit of sugar, guys, and it does go a fairly long way. In my case, because my blackberries are very, very delicious, they will not need any maceration whatsoever. It's the equivalent of dry brining, right? So all that we're going to do, guys, because I don't want these to roll around on a fork, I want to go ahead and expose the beautiful flesh and just slice them in half with a nice sharp little knife. Okay, nice sharp knife, and we slice it so that we don't crush the humble blackberry, my friends. And we're just going to do that with each of them, and we'll be nice and dainty and delicate as we go through them, guys. Look at my lovely blackberries. Oh, I love blackberries. I think it is a contest between blackberries and strawberries for my favorite berry. But I think, guys, an in-season blackberry for me takes the cake. Raspberries, I'm kind of like whatever on. Blueberries, they're so inconsistent. I hate the small pieces of blueberry. But guys, blackberries, I don't know why blackberries are so slept on. Blackberries are so slept on for no reason whatsoever. Okay? And I can't believe I got all of this for $1. That makes me so happy. Okay? So all I'm doing, guys, is I'm just chunking it up. Just chunking it up. And you don't have to chunk it up if you don't want to. The only reason that I am is just to make it a little bit more forkable, to make it a little bit easier to eat. So yeah, Jack, it's not that I don't like blueberries. It's just that oftentimes you're not eating typically in-season berries. The berries that you're eating are of very variable quality, okay? And if I had to eat a mediocre blueberry versus a mediocre blackberry, I'd rather have a mediocre blackberry. But if everything is plump and juicy and in-season, then they're all beautiful and amazing. But generally speaking, guys, blackberries are my go-to. But I love a good strawberry. It's just that the majority of strawberries, guys, I feel like strawberries are like one of the most egregious offenders of something being like too wet and flavorless. At least like raspberries, even if they're like acidic, at least they have flavor. But so many store-bought strawberries, guys, so many store-bought strawberries, they suck. Do you like any frozen fruits? So Trash Can Cat Mom, I would say no, because I don't really make smoothies like that. I don't eat food in my regular diet because I try to avoid sugar as it is. And so the only context that I would like frozen food would be if I was like baking or making a jam, or if I were making a smoothie. And because I don't really do any of those things, then my answer is just like, I don't really use them. But for fresh consumption, when you freeze fruit, okay, the ice crystals that grow inside, they do damage the flesh of it, right? Even if it is flash frozen. And so the texture of it will never be as good as a fresh berry. And so as a result, I just don't personally have a use for them, okay? What about apples? Indifferent, Jack. My favorite fruits are like bananas, blackberries. I love a good orange. Okay, now I'm craving berries but don't know which one. Happy to help. Happy to have done this to you. And the answer is you're craving a blackberry. That's actually, that should be your answer. So guys, just going through it nice and gentle. And again, we're not going to be sawing through it or anything. We're just being gentle because we don't want to expose, we don't want to destroy all of that beautiful flesh of the humble blackberry. Okay. There you go. Almost done. Just 2 more to go. And guys, whenever you do buy berries from the supermarket, always soak them in some nice cold water, do a couple of passes, and then I like to dry them gently in my salad spinner. That's always been my ideal method. Okay, all of my blackberries have now been beautifully chopped up. They're all ready to go for Mr. Salad. Okay, and let's go ahead and scoop it up. Can I spare $1 blackberry? Maybe. I will consider it. And guys, I'm going to have all of these go into the salad. And we're not building a dressing today or anything. We're not doing anything fancy. This is just going to be an olive oil lemon juice salad. Those are blackberries in the USA. They are non-binary. Are they uncommon? I feel like I see them everywhere in my part of New York at least. But I saw these today, and Lord knows that I wanted some. So guys, red onions, lemon juice, lemon zest, and some blackberries. And now, what do we have to do? We're still waiting on the tomatoes to finish draining, but honestly, I think that these guys have strained enough, right? We got a little bit more liquid out of it, and so I'm just going to dump my tomatoes into the salad. And if you guys remember exactly what we did to the tomatoes, we're going to do the same onto the cucumbers. Okay, we're going to go ahead and salt up my cucumbers nice and generously. So let's go ahead and grab my plate. And not only does this season the vegetable from the inside out, this stops our salad from becoming soggy, guys. So all of my cucumbers go in. By giving it a nice pre-salting, once again, we're avoiding it from drowning in its own liquid. And let's go ahead and do a bunch of salt. Again, guys, a little too much salt. That's how much that we need. A little too much because a lot of it is going to dissipate in the liquid. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and grab a glove because I don't want to smush my cucumbers. I want to be nice and delicate, my friends, nice and gentle. Or rather, I guess if it was like a thin slice, then you'd have to be gentle. Yeah, these guys can handle a good old mixing. And we're going to go ahead and let these sit with salt for, something like another 20 minutes or so. Okay, 20 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and strain them out. You can already see, guys, the cucumbers, they're starting to almost sweat. And they're too salty, and that's important. Again, a lot of the excess salt is going to go ahead and melt out. Okay? So guys, come take a look. This is the beginnings of our beautiful salad. Is there any merit to that? So on Nameless, there is only merit to that if you season it just before cooking. So in his method, where he seasons it just before cooking, a lot of it does end up falling off, yeah. Guys, look at the salad. Look at this gorgeous, beautiful salad with my red onions, with my blackberries, with my tomatoes, but it's still not done yet, my friends. This salad is going to get even more beautiful. It's going to get even more delicious. A lot of the point of my salad today was to use up a bunch of fresh herbs that I had laying around, and so we'll do exactly that. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 20 minutes for my cucumbers. And let's begin addressing some of this stuff right here, guys. This is all of my leftover basil. Some of this is going to go into the sauce, but a bunch of it is going to go in the salad. Again, one of my favorite combinations, again and again, time and time again, is basil. This is specifically Thai basil, okay, with berries. Basil with berries and olive oil, guys. It is so fresh. It is so delicious. It is amazing. And so the first thing that we're going to need to do, we'll be trying to use up all of this basil today. This is going to be an aggressively basil salad, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just pluck off the leaves one by one, guys. You know how to do this. Take it, pinch it off. Pinch one off. Okay? So we're just going to go ahead. We're going to keep plucking, even all the little leaves. Even all of those little leaves. Keep plucking, my friends. Okay. Keep plucking. And we just got to go through all of it. And so this would be a really good time to ask me any and all cooking questions that you may have. The reason why we're taking off the stems is because they're really coarse in texture. They're not very pleasant to eat, right? I don't love the texture of stems on any herb. Basil is one of the worst offenders of those. Vinegar going in here too. So on Nameless, the answer is no. And the answer is no, and this leaf is a little wilted, so we'll discard that. The answer is no because we already have some lemon juice inside of the salad. And so if you would like, you can absolutely do some vinegar, but I think we'll have all of the acidity that we need. Am I going to Mexico for S Factor? If they want me, Pebbles. Chef, what is my favorite color? Red and black. Red and black every single day of the week. Love them to death. Okay, so guys, let's get all the basil leaves. And again, not all of this is going to be used for the salad. Some of it will be used for the sauce as well, for the steak today. But just keep plucking, keep it plucking, keep it plucking. We got so much basil to go through, guys. Okay, there you go. That leaf is a little wilted. And if any leaves look off, we'll just go ahead and discard it. Like this guy right here, he has seen some better days. We'll go ahead and get rid of him. And we're almost done with this little bunch of basil. Keep it plucking, keep it plucking, keep it going. It's already at the end of its life because of, you know how basil is, guys. Doesn't always last the longest, but we have given it a beautiful life. Me too, but I also like purple. Purple is a very lovely color. I really like fuchsia more than anything. I gotta say, as far as my purples go. Thai basil has an earthiness. Yeah, it more so has a licoriceiness to it. Right? And I just find it so delicious. And yeah, there's so many, guys, there's like 100 types of basil out there, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of them, they taste quite distinct from one another. In this case, guys, beautiful, fresh Thai basil, but use whatever herbs that you want. The only reason that I am using basil for today is because I already had some in my fridge. If you have another kind of basil, if you have some cilantro, if you have parsley, if you have any soft, fresh herb, those will all do wonderfully for today, guys. So guys, come take a look. Here's a big old pile of all of my basil. And so what we're going to do, because I don't love biting into a massive leaf of basil, okay, we're just going to go ahead and slice up some of the bigger leaves. And these smaller leaves, we're going to keep them as is and put them into the salad, okay? So these medium-sized leaves, those big leaves, they've all got to go ahead and get sliced up. But these little ones can sort of just stay as they are. Does anybody have any questions for me? Also, guys, there's a lot of nonsense about how, oh, you must never chop basil, you must never slice it. And the answer is, well, yeah, you don't chop it. I'm going to show you guys how I want you all to slice it. We don't chop in this household, we slice, okay? And I'll show you exactly what that entails. I'll show you all exactly what that looks like. So again, we're just taking all of the big leaves, and the little leaves we're just setting aside, because these we can just throw into the salad just as is. Just continue to stack them up, okay? Chef, are all herbs generally interchangeable? I want to say they're mostly interchangeable if we're not talking about authenticity. But generally, yeah, absolutely. As long as they're soft herbs. If we're talking about soft herbs, things like parsley, tarragon, basil, cilantro, a good chunk of those, they can be used interchangeably for one another. It'll be different. It'll be very different. It'll taste very different, but functionally, it will still provide an element of, of course, that herbaceousness. You can't really substitute for like rosemary. You can't really substitute for thyme, for bay leaves. Those I would consider to be quote unquote hard herbs. Hope that answers your question. Okay, just take these leaves. These guys, I'm gonna go ahead and set them aside for my steak sauce today. Okay, and once again, all of these little teeny tiny baby leaves, they can just go inside as is. I don't really have to worry about chopping them at all. Okay, take this guy, take this guy, take this guy, take this guy. And we'll go ahead and slice up the rest of these for the salad. And this is gonna be for the steak today. Set that aside. Okay guys, so I'm gonna show you all exactly how I would like you to cut the basil. The number one rule, and so there's a couple of things going on here. There's two groups of people out there. I need everybody to listen to me. I wanna hear a nice resounding yes chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. I need to hear a yes chef. There's two existing groups of people. One of them say, oh, you should never cut fresh herbs. You'll ruin them, they'll lose all of their flavor. And the other group of people, they take a knife to them and they absolutely destroy them. We are neither of those. We are better, my friends. We are better, and let me talk to you about something right now. So, it is not completely without merit to say that chopping something up makes it lose its flavor. In the context of fresh aromatics, fresh herbs, like basil, like cilantro, the more that you crush it, the more that you destroy it, the more that it will oxidize, turn brown, and subsequently lose its flavor. In order for your herbs to stay nice and bright green, we need minimal processing. So, the thing I never want you to do, we never chop, we never apply vertical force, guys. We only slice. We use the full length of the knife. You need a nice, sharp knife. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna take the basil, we're gonna roll it up, we're gonna hold it like a little baby bird. Not so firmly that it flies, not so firmly that we crush its brains out, and not so gently that it flies away. We take a nice, long, sharp knife. And we, guys, with minimal vertical force, you have no idea how gentle I'm being. I am barely pressing on this knife. I am just dragging the knife through the herbs so that we're not crushing it. We are slicing it. We are surgically making these incisions so that we damage it as little as possible. So guys, take a look. Look how lovely, look how fresh this basil is. It's nice and bright green. We didn't oxidize it. We didn't make it turn brown or anything. All that we did is we gave it a nice, gentle slice. And we'll do the same exact thing with this stack of basil as well. That is exactly how I want you all to be processing your herbs at home, okay? So take it and slice it. Take it and slice it. Take it and slice it, guys. Take it and slice it. And we're not looking for paper thin threads today. I want this to be, roughly matching the size of my other stuff in the salad. Okay, the more that you chop it, the more that you process it, okay, the less of a shelf life it's going to have, the more it's going to turn brown and mushy and lose all of that delicious aromatic basil-y flavor. So all of that basil, guys, all of it just goes directly into the salad. Look at it now with the basil, with the blackberries, with the tomatoes. Look how beautiful my salad is becoming. And this is still lacking the cucumbers. And we're also gonna do some cilantro in there as well. Look at it, gorgeous, isn't it? Okay guys, let's go ahead and get some cilantro. Why am I using cilantro? Because I had some, I wanted to use some. Right, we're using what we have at home. Use whatever fresh herbs that you guys have lying around, okay? So some of the cilantro is going to go towards the sauce. Some of it is going to go towards the salad. I'm not going to use up all of my cilantro today. I don't want this to become too cilantro heavy. I just kind of want my basil to be the start of the show. And guys, same exact idea. We're just going to go ahead, go through it all, and give it a good old pluck skis. Give it a good old plucking treatment. Every single little leaf, one by one, off the stems. The stem of the cilantro is a little bit more tender than that of the basil, but even then, I just don't like the texture of the stems ultimately. I find them to be quite fibrous. The salad feels like a summery sunset. Good. I have some hair in my mouth. That's exactly what I should evoke. How many days should a salad hold up? Honestly, if we're talking about like food safety, a week. In terms of actual taste and texture, I would say a couple of days. So this is the kind of a salad, guys, that I would take with work, to work with me tomorrow, excuse me. I would take it to work with me. I would, just have it for dinner, have it for lunch the next day, okay? And because of how gentle we're being with everything, it's not going to go bad that quickly. But yeah, generally, the longer that you wait, the soggier the salad is going to be. But that's okay. It's okay for it to still not be 100%. It's okay for it to be 95%. Did you know you can make hummus with lentils? Sure, Jack. Yeah. I was aware of such a factoid. I wish I liked berries. So Rosie is cozy. Why do you say you don't like berries? Okay, bye, Lana. Thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to have you, as always. Okay, guys, just take it and pluck and pluck and pluck. And you're just going to go ahead and pluck each and every single one of these. Go ahead and pluck them. Beautiful. Okay. Okay. Out they all come. Because again, guys, we're really looking for no stems in the salad whatsoever. I know this is a bit of a tedious process. I know we've been on these herbs for a long time already. We're almost done with the salad, guys. We're going to be doing a steak shortly, I promise. Okay, it's all going to get there. It's all going to be exciting. They just don't taste good to me. So, I mean, Rosie's cozy. My answer is, do you like jams? Right? Do you like jellies? Do you like them baked inside of a pastry? Maybe you don't like them by themselves. So when you say you don't like berries, I'm curious about like which context have you specifically tried berries in the past? And have you had fresh in-season berries? Have you just had bland, mediocre ones? Have you had them in a smoothie? I'm just curious about what your experience is. What can you do with a watermelon? Jack, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I'm the best resource for that because I don't really know. I don't really cook with watermelon like that. Okay. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and save some of the cilantro once again for my sauce because I want to have like a really nice herb sauce to go alongside my steak today. Dropped a few leaves on the ground. Jack, count it. Please and thank you. Okay, I'll put my heavy cream back in the fridge since we're not going to need it for a good while. Okay, guys, take it. We're going to take the herbs and same exact thing as we did as the basil before. We're going to take it, bundle it up in our hands like a little gentle, delicate baby bird, not so firmly that it flies away, but not so firmly that we crush its brains out, not so gently that it flies away, guys, okay? Nice, sharp knife. Nice, long, sharp knife. Take it, hold it down, and slice it. I'm not looking for super tiny slices, but just slice it, minimal vertical force, my friends. As we just go through it, we just pass it through, process up all of my lovely cilantro leaves. And that should be plenty for my salad today. I'm going to go ahead, take that inside, and as always, we'll just mix it all in. Guys, look at the salad that is coming together. And the last things that it's really missing is the cucumbers and of course a bunch of olive oil. And then it might also need some additional salt depending on how we feel about it. We'll also be doing some black pepper inside, which I guess I could do now. Okay guys, take a look. Guys, look at the salad. Isn't that a beautiful salad? I'm telling you, that's a really gorgeous salad. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a bunch of black pepper to this guy. Okay, because you can't have a salad without some black pepper, quite frankly. And by some, I do mean a significant amount. And then we're also going to need like a lot of olive oil, like glug it in type of olive oil. Okay, because the olive oil is just going to be the coating for this beautiful, gorgeous salad. Okay, I mean a like real, true, proper glug, my friends. Okay, I'm not measuring anything in this household. You all know that already. Okay, so look at this salad now. Now we might need to adjust with a little bit more lime juice in a second. I don't really think a taste is gonna be that accurate of a measure at this stage at least, because again, we don't have the cucumbers inside of it still. It's still missing the cucumbers, which are a very important component of it. But I suppose we can just taste it now. I'm just mixing in the black pepper, everybody. Okay, let's have a little taste. That is just an explosion of flavor. That is so much going on right now. Okay, I'm gonna taste that one more time, and we're going to adjust this as needed. It needs more of everything. Say a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of salt, some olive oil, and yeah, lemon juice, olive oil, salt. So let's give that a proper shot. So some lemon juice and maybe a little more. And let's do a nice big hit of salt. Okay, because we want to balance like the tartness of the herbs, especially. 2 big pinches of salt. We're going to let the salad rest as we make the steak. Yes, absolutely, because we want the salad to just chill out in the fridge properly before we eat it. Or you can also just eat this as it is. And then some more olive oil goes inside, especially because we need to lubricate the cucumbers. I don't really need to worry about additionally salting the cucumbers. They're sitting in a bunch of salt as it is. They're going to be perfectly seasoned, so I'm not too stressed about those little guys. I just want to make sure that this addition of the salt is getting to where it needs to go. And guys, I do mean a plethora of olive oil. When I said the salad's gonna have a lot of olive oil, I did mean it will have a lot of olive oil, okay? So just pick it up and toss it all together. Let's have another little taste. Was a dish of the day? You can just type an exclamation mark menu. Perfect. So I know it hasn't been 20 minutes yet on the cucumbers, but I'm impatient. I want to just be done with the salad, and I want to just move on for the rest of the stuff for the steak, okay? So we got some of the water out of the cucumbers. Let's just go ahead and just strain it off now. All of that water, all of it is gone. And we're just shaking it up a little bit to get rid of all of that salty liquid, my friends. Okay? My cucumbers are inside. Everybody, this is going to be the final composition of the salad. We have gorgeous salted cucumbers, gorgeous salted tomatoes, blackberries, onions marinated in some lemon juice, olive oil, lemon zest, basil, and cilantro. Look at these things. Look at the salad. Okay, let's have a little taste one more time. Let's get a couple of chunks, and it's beautiful. There's so much going on. Okay, this salad, my friends, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this into the fridge to chill out, and then we will go ahead and begin the steak. Again, this salad, guys, Thai basil, cilantro, blackberries, onions, vine tomatoes, lemon juice, salt, pepper, and a bunch of olive oil with some cucumbers. Really fresh, really delicious, really aromatic. Okay? And then I'll just take my steak out of the fridge. We got to do the prep for the steak sauce today, guys. We still got some work coming up ahead of us. The steak can still just chill out there for a little bit. Does anybody have any questions before we proceed? I'm going to just take a second, put away a couple of things that we do not need. I'm not going to need my strainer anymore. So I'll just go ahead and just throw that into the dishwasher. Because remember, everybody, we have to clean as we go when we cook at home. Clean as you go, and everything will be okay at the end of the day. And I'll also throw my Tupperware inside because I'm done with this little guy too. He's done a wonderful job for us. Okay, and now guys, we have to do all of the prep for my cream sauce. And so the idea is this. We're going to cook the steak, we're going to sear the steak, we're going to throw in some shallots, throw in some whiskey, and then we're going to put in some heavy cream, let that all cook down a little bit, okay? Ooh, excuse me. And then we'll just be finishing it with the fresh herbs, and it's going to be really, really delicious, okay? And my inspiration for today comes from our poivre, which is steak essentially encrusted in peppercorns in a cream sauce. I'm modifying it today by using a bunch of fresh herbs. And so let's go ahead and do all of that prep now. Is everybody ready? Is everybody watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. That's right, John Dahlia, there is going to be some whiskey involved, okay? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. Okay, perfect, lovely. So guys, let's go ahead and get all of my prep done for the sauce ahead of time. And also, I know we don't typically do steaks on the stream. The reason why I want to do steak today is because, you know what, sometimes home cooking, it's a Friday. You want to celebrate a little bit, something for yourself, something for a beautiful woman perhaps. It's all really nice in the world. Okay, so guys, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to crush up some black peppercorns. Okay, because my goal for today is to have something that is almost evocative of an au poivre. And an au poivre just basically means a peppercorn sauce, or rather it's encrusted in peppercorns, but it's not going to be a peppercorn crusted steak. This is all just going to go into the sauce today, okay? So why am I using a mortar and pestle instead of a pepper grinder? I'm using a mortar and pestle specifically because I get to really control the size of all of my little bits of black pepper. Nice stone pot, thank you. It's just a mortar and pestle. I have not been shy, Chica. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so guys, all that we really need to do, we just have to flatten this and crush this a little bit. We're not looking for a fine powder. We're just looking for little teeny tiny bits of peppercorn, okay? So mortar and pestle, and you could just do this with like a steel pan and a towel, that's okay too. But in my case, guys, we're going to take it and we're just going to try our best to crush all of those peppercorns. We're not doing a circular motion because it will all pop out. Okay, so take a look at it inside. Okay, we just take it and we just grind it and we crush each and every single one of my peppercorns, okay? And we could grind it a little bit. Maybe that'll be okay. Okay, it doesn't seem to be popping out that much. But the only thing that we don't want a whole black peppercorn. A whole black peppercorn, guys, if you've ever bitten into one, incredibly, utterly unpleasant. That is just not pleasant to eat. It is just not pleasant to have in your mouth, okay? So you have to absolutely make sure that each and every single one of them get crushed. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? So alternatively, you can do like a kitchen mallet, you can do a steel pan and a towel, okay? You can just crack it under a pan. That's what I used to do, right? Or in my case, something like this. We're not pounding with this. We're just going through each and every single one of them and crushing it, my friends. And we're not looking for a fine powder, okay? All we're really looking to do is just make sure that we have no big pieces. You actually love that? Alvin, are you talking about like biting into a whole peppercorn? It's like a surprise. That is not the kind of surprise I want. I don't know about you. I don't know about the majority. I mean, listen, if you want a little surprise of it, then by all means, go ahead. In my case, that is not what I'm looking for at all today. Okay? So that is now mostly processed, everybody. Again, we're just going to go through this a couple of times just to make sure that all of it has been successfully crushed up. But we're not going to go much finer than that, okay? It does smell very fresh. I still feel a couple of hard lumps inside, so we're just going through it. We're going through it all. And yeah, for this especially, guys, no pre-ground pepper. If you must use a pepper grinder, use the coarsest setting. What you can do is loosen the top of it, and that's how you get the coarsest. But ideally, flattening this by hand is the best way to control the texture, okay? So we're just grinding it up, we're crushing it. Let me go ahead and go back inside. I'm gonna inspect it. I'm feeling around. There's a couple of pieces in here that I would still love to be able to take care of. Yep, that's one, and that's two, and that's three. Okay, oh, forgot this little guy right here. Okay, I think that that is going to be perfect, and for this, I'm going to just grab one of my favorite little kitchen tools, guys, a handy dandy little condiment cup. I know this looks like a lot of black pepper, but guess what? It is. This is literally a black pepper sauce. Okay, this is a pepper cream sauce, so we need a significant amount of this stuff. Okay, bunch of black peppercorns. We might not use all of it. We'll see how we feel. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just put that onto my separate little plate. And because of the fact that I keep this thing nice and dry, I mean, I never really need to wash it. All that I do, guys, is I just give it an occasional wipe off, right? Because it was just grinding up some peppercorns. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and put that aside because we no longer need it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the rest of the prep that we need for my cream sauce today. So I want these herbs, I want them to be minced. I'm going to be finishing my sauce with them. And we're going to be getting a very, very fine slice. So you guys remember how I did it? Is it a boy? Take a guess, OG. Take a guess. Okay. Wait, who are we talking about here? Are we talking about me or something with the food? Doesn't sound like it. Chef, what do you think of this dish with the Sichuan pepper instead in the crushed cucumber salad? John Dahlia, that sounds amazing. The only thing is with Sichuan peppercorns, I don't know how well they char compared to black peppercorns. Black peppercorns take on the heat that much better. Okay, so guys, take all of the basil. Also, hi Moonha, lovely to have you. Okay, let's take all of our basil. Once again, we're just going to go ahead and roll it up, okay? And we're just going to go ahead and slice this. We're going to slice it really, really thin this time because I want this to be in my sauce. Guys, gentle slicing. Do not chop. Do not chop. Just slice it, and we're slicing it really, really thin, okay? Paper thin. That's not how we did the salad. The salad, we did bigger pieces. But in this case, guys, paper thin little shreds, okay? We don't chop it, we don't crush it, we just slice it. I am really good at this. Thank you, OG. Slice it, my friends. The more that you chop it, the more vertical force that you apply, the more you're damaging the basil itself. We never chop it. Also, Carl Hill, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Also, guys, once again, if you'd like to support the cooking show, my goal is to be able to do this full-time one day. Please check out my Patreon, !Patreon. And as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask me. Okay, I think that's good. I'm not going to go through it again because, again, I don't really want to abuse my basil here. I'm just going to go through these big chunks that I've had left over. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab this and put this onto my separate little plate. And let's go ahead and do the same thing with all of this cilantro, guys, okay? So again, why am I doing cilantro and basil into the sauce? Because I just think it'll be nice. Right? We already had some sitting in my fridge. A lot of what it means to cook at home is to use up your existing leftovers. Okay, so we're gonna take it and we're gonna just roll this up in our hands. Okay, and slice it nice and thin, just like the basil. Slice it and slice it and slice it all the way through, guys, until that's all done. Okay. There you go. There you go, there you go. Almost done, everybody. Almost there. And let's go ahead and with the cilantro, we're gonna give that a nice little quarter turn. And again, guys, just keep on slicing. We never chop it. We never crush it. We never do a rock chop. I hate that motion more than anything. It's bad for your knife. It's incredibly inefficient, and it just destroys whatever it is that you're trying to cut. This is a much more beautiful, much more gentle way. Okay? Also, John Dahlia, I'm happy to hear that. Oh, I'm so glad that I was able to have that kind of an influence. Okay, and the last thing that we're going to need to prep for the sauce, my friends, is going to be this shallot. Very classical French thing to do here, which is to introduce a shallot into the sauce. Now, why do we add a shallot? What does a shallot actually contribute? Well, a shallot, compared to other types of alliums, it's a lot more concentrated in its flavor. It's very, very intense, it's very sweet. The key of unlocking the flavor of the shallot, guys, is in the fine dice. I'm gonna say it again. The key to getting a beautiful, really delicious sauce using a shallot is a fine dice. The thing that people mess up with shallots more than anything is they cut it into big pieces. They cut it into big pieces and it does effectively nothing. By having it in really, really small pieces, guys, it's going to melt into your sauce. I want a new knife. Jack, it depends on your budget. It depends on your budget. But I gotta say, the Kramer's Willing knife, this thing, perfect for people with big hands. Very comfortable for you. But also, just go to a knife store and feel around, Jack. That's what I would do if I were you. Okay, so come take a look. Shallots, we cut off the head. And now we're just going to go ahead and peel off all of that shallot skin. Okay, off it all comes. Off all of that shallot skin comes, my friends. Off it all goes, and let's go ahead and take that off. Ooh, ow. Let's take that off of the cutting board because we don't need any of those onion skins. We don't need any of those shallot skins on my cutting board. Okay, guys, the goal, once again, is to obtain a very, very fine dice. I'm gonna just quickly tie up my hair. We're talking a fine, fine, fine dice. I mean little teeny tiny pieces. The goal of getting a fine dice is for this to effectively, once again, melt into the sauce. Big pieces, they're going to stay intact more. We're not supposed to bite into a shallot. The goal of the shallot, guys, once again and again and again, is to service the sauce. So let's just go ahead and split it off into these little thingies. And so let me show you my technique, okay? So guys, take the shallot, and in fact, we're even gonna zoom in for this stage. We're gonna give us a nice proper zoom in so you guys can hopefully see it a little better, okay? We are going to fan out the shallot with parallel slices. The root of the shallot is attached. This is where the head used to be. Here's the root, here's where the head was. Okay, guys, we claw our hand and we make a bunch of thin, paper-thin incisions along the length of the shallot. And we are essentially fanning it out this way. Come take a look. It's attached by the root. This part right here, we have officially fanned it out. We can even cut it in half like this as well if you'd really like to. And then guys, super, super fine pieces, okay? Take it, don't rush this process. Go nice and slow. Why shallots instead of onions? It's because shallots are more concentrated. But Oven, you can use onions. You can use any kind of allium that you would like, but shallots just have a much more intense flavor. So guys, take a look. We slice it, we slice it, we slice it. We don't chop it. We slice, 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 slice. Slice, 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 slice. And that way, guys, we obtain all of this beautiful, finely diced shallot, perfect for my sauce today, okay? Slice, 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 slice. And we might even just need half a shallot. We don't need that much allium flavor in this, okay? It'll make it maybe a little too sweet, if there is such a thing. Okay, let's discard the root. Guys, look at that shallot. That is exactly what I'm looking for. When it is that fine, it will essentially melt into the sauce as it cooks in, okay? So let's go ahead and grab this. I'm gonna quickly wash off my bench scraper because it just has all of the old leftover blackberry mush on it, all of the skins and stuff. Okay, and we're just going to take it all and transfer it into my little container here, okay? Just take it. And yeah, guys, I'm only feeling, honestly, half a shallot for today. We're not going to need this whole shallot. This guy I'm just gonna set aside for some future use. And there's no really specific reason why you can use the whole shallot. I just find that it sometimes gets a little overpowering, okay? So take it, and once again, guys, parallel, parallel, parallel incisions, nice and thin, all the way through. Okay, take it, guys, and nice, fine, 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 fine. Slice, 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 all the way through until we obtain a little teeny tiny pile of shallots. Gorgeous. Okay, get that into the bowl and get these little guys into the bowl. And guys, I'm telling you, this little bit of shallot is going to indeed have a pronounced flavor, okay? It's going to have a pronounced flavor. It is going to have an impact. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but it is going to provide that sweetness. So guys, here's everything that we're going to need for the sauce today. Well, not quite everything. We're still missing the bourbon, of course, and the cream. But those are all of the different aromatic components that are going to be the basis of the flavor for our sauce, guys. We have a finely chopped up shallot, really finely sliced again. We have some herbs, just to be able to give it some freshness. And then we have these black peppercorns that we've crushed. Has Chef ever caught itself on stream? Never, John. Okay, everybody, let's do one little recap session and then we can begin cooking my steaks and we'll talk about how to cook a steak. We made a salad in the fridge right now. Tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, lemon juice, lemon zest, olive oil, okay, blackberries, basil, and cilantro all together. Steak, we have these really, really beautiful skirt steaks, and we're just having them sit in the fridge with a bunch of salt so they get nice and juicy, and we just got some black peppercorn, some cilantro, basil, and shallots ready for my sauce. Everybody, it is time for us to preheat the pan for the steak. I have here a nice big stainless steel pan. Your options for cooking a steak are as follows. 1, a stainless steel pan. 2, a cast iron pan. 3, a carbon steel pan. We're not using a nonstick pan. We're not using any ceramic pans ever for something like a steak, and we'll talk about why. But first, let's talk about how to heat this thing up to begin with. I need everybody to listen. I need to hear a yes chef from everybody watching, please, and thank you. Everybody, I never use high heat at home anymore. I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people, they take it, they say, oh, you have to heat this up on the highest heat possible for the steak. They blast it on high heat. They heat it up for 2 minutes. They splash some water on it. They see it dancing around. They say that it's ready. When you heat up, especially a piece of metal like this, for a short amount of time on a high heat, you develop hot spots and cool spots. In order to get a beautifully evenly heated pan, okay, you need medium heat over a longer period of time. Longer period of time, the more even it's actually going to end up being. You could do a high heat over a long period of time, but you're going to overheat your pan. Okay guys, so nice medium heat. That's all I'm using for today. Medium heat. And so let's talk about the oil that we're using. Now, typically when it comes to cooking a steak, the idea is to use something that is called a neutral oil, specifically canola oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, avocado oil. These are highly refined oils that can be brought up to a high temperature without smoking too much. In this case, for instance, you wouldn't use something like a olive oil. You wouldn't use butter. Butter has all the milk solids, butter has a bunch of liquid, it'll splash and it'll burn. Extra virgin olive oil also has little tiny solids and it smokes up easily. In my case, guys, I'm using peanut oil, but the type of neutral cooking oil that you choose does not matter. As long as it's canola oil, vegetable oil, peanut oil, it can be a super refined olive oil, just something that doesn't have a lot of flavor. The goal of the oil is to help evenly conduct the heat, okay, and for it to make sure that it's in nice even contact with the pan and so that it doesn't stick, okay? So guys, we're going to do a nice amount of peanut oil inside, enough to be able to coat the bottom, okay, because remember, the oil is an extension of the pan. The oil is what will actually get into the grooves and crevices of the meat itself and be able to get it nice and, nice and beautifully brown, okay? So let's go ahead. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to put aside my cutting board. We're only going to need it at the end when it actually comes to slicing up the steak. So I'm going to put away Mr. Cutting Board. Everybody, please say thank you to the cutting board. And we're going to go ahead and inspect our steaks one more time. And guys, there's a lot of theory. There's a lot of thought when it actually comes to cooking a steak. And I'm going to teach you. I'm going to guide you all the way with this process, okay? It's going to be okay. It's going to work out. Okay, but there's a lot, and there's a lot of misconceptions as well when it comes to cooking a steak, okay? So let's go ahead. First of all, first thing that people say is, oh, you must bring a steak up to room temperature. Not that important, especially because I'm cooking up some skirt steaks. They're not all that big, so I don't really care about bringing them up to room temperature. So, okay, first thing that we're going to do, guys, you can see that the salt has drawn out a good amount of liquid from the meat itself. If we were to add this directly to the pan as is, not only will it have a difficult time browning because of the fact that the top of it is wet, but it will also cause it to splash a lot because oil and water. You guys already know what happens. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and take it and pat it dry with a couple of paper towels. And I just got to get a plate out for later, and we'll talk about why we need a plate and everything in just a moment's time. Okay. So let me go ahead and grab, we're going to need about like 2 paper towels per each. It is very wet, isn't it? And again, guys, we're heating up our pan slowly. Slowly, slowly. Wow! I just almost dropped. I caught it. I caught it, Jack. Okay, you don't have to count that as a drop this time. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and glove on up for this. No, it's pretty red in real life too, G-Spent. Trust me, this thing is really red. Okay, so it's actually quite accurate. Okay, so guys, we're going to just go ahead and we're going to pat each of them dry, and I mean bone dry. Okay, again, we don't want it to splash once it goes onto the pan, and the water itself is going to make it really, really difficult for us to get a nice, beautiful brown crust, okay? So pat it dry. We're going to use 1 paper towel per side. You can see how much moisture we've gotten out of the surface. Okay, do the sides. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. Everything on that side of the steak. And in fact, I could probably use this paper towel as well for this. I don't think I'm going to need 1 paper towel per side of steak. That might be a little excessive. Okay, pat it dry. And remember, guys, these have already been salted. We're not going to do other spices on it because it's going to directly inhibit the beef's ability to turn brown, and we'll end up risking burning our spices as well here. Okay, so nice and dry. Guys, I mean like pat it dry. Pat it dry. Can I please get a yes, chef? Really, really bone dry. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and take the steak and we're going to just flip it over. But first, I just do that side as is. There you go. Really, really dry, my friends. Just pat it, pat it, pat it, pat it. Again, we don't want any surface moisture remaining on it. It already has all the salt on it that it needs, and it's going to be just glazed in that beautiful sauce that we'll make for it, okay? There you go. Awesome. How's my pan doing? Ooh, I think my pan is getting to the temperature it needs to be. In fact, it's smoking a little early, so I'm turning down that heat. And last one, guys. Take it. I'm just making sure that the grate itself is dry. Okay. Opinion on bread, chef. What is my favorite and why? Uh, that's a hard question, Jack. I mean, I like a lot of bread. As long as the bread is good and freshly made, then I'll love it. But my favorite of all time, I love a freshly baked focaccia. I love a freshly baked baguette. Oh, I love baguettes. I think I can't, like a real classic French baguette, I can't live without. Okay, guys. So, come take a look. These are my beautiful steaks. So next thing, here's a really, really big misconception. A massive misconception is that your pan needs to be smoking hot on the highest temperature for a steak. No, that is just not true. If we have a smoking hot pan, we'll burn the outside before the inside gets done. Guys, I'm telling you, the key to a good steak is a slightly lower heat than you would think and frequent flipping. So guys, my oil is now nice and really, really hot. In fact, it's slightly smoking. Okay, I'm not measuring the exact temperature of the oil. All I'm gonna do, I'm sloshing the oil around, okay, and I'm laying the steak away from me, just like that. And let's go ahead and do the second one. Take the oil and second steak, guys. Okay, so everybody, really, really big misconception when it comes to steak. People say that you have to flip it once and only once. And I'm gonna tell you right now that that is complete nonsense and is entirely untrue. If you flip a steak once and only once, you're going to end up getting a bullseye effect. The outside will be more cooked before the inside is done. And so instead, the method I prefer is this. We let the first side cook for about 45 seconds to a minute or so. We flip it, let the second side cook, and then afterwards, we're going to be rotating it and flipping it often. Okay? Again, guys, medium heat is the key to this. It's not gonna stick. Okay, if you just give it the proper time beforehand, so give it another 20 seconds or so on this first side, and it's all gonna get there, guys. It's all gonna get there, it's all gonna be nice and delicious, okay? If you give it the first 45 seconds of a minute without touching it, it's not gonna stick. We're just letting it naturally release itself, especially given enough oil. Okay, and now guys, we can just go ahead, pick it up, and flip it over. I know that that doesn't look like a good crust, but trust me on this. Leave it for another 45 seconds. Everybody, frequent flipping is the key to an evenly cooked steak and an even crust. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to be rotating it. So everybody, can I have your full attention, please? Can I have another yes, chef? Take a note of the spots that are empty and the spots that are occupied by the steak. The spots that are empty heat up more because there is no thermal transfer being taken place. The spots that the steak is on are going to be colder than these other spots. Okay? Because all of that heat is just going into the steak directly. And so, when I rotate and I flip these steaks, I'm going to be flipping it onto the previously empty sides. That way, we're going to have efficient heat transfer, and by often rotating the steak, we're going to build up a nice even crust, my friends. So, now is the stage where I'm gonna take my phone timer, I'm gonna set the clock on, okay? And then every 20 seconds we give it a rotation. Another 20 seconds after that, we give it a flip. Okay? So this would be the point where I would say, okay, let's go ahead and give this a rotation. Let's give this 20 more seconds, and then we'll give it a flip. And we're going to keep doing this until it's done. I'm looking for a medium rare on my steaks. Roughly, you know, that's like maybe like 7 minutes of cook time, 6 minutes of cook time. All of it is dependent on your thickness. So, you want to go ahead and invest in a nice temperature probe. Depending on how thin your steaks are, a temperature probe might not be that useful. Because if it's a really thin steak, it might give you a very inaccurate reading. So guys, now that it's been another 20 seconds, we take it and we give it another flip. And you can see that that crust is beginning to form. 20 seconds rotate, 20 seconds flip. Okay? And guys, we're going to be building up a beautiful steak. It's going to happen with a little bit of time and a little bit of love. So, another thing that we need to keep in mind. I don't love cooking my steaks on a super hot temperature. And the reason why is because all of the fond on the bottom ends up burning. You might be asking me, oh Daria, what is fond? I need everybody's attention for this. So as meat cooks, it is essentially releasing this protein-rich liquid. And as the water evaporates, all of those proteins stick to the bottom. By having a high heat, those little proteins, we end up risking burning them. And because we want to build the sauce in the pan, we don't want to burn it, okay guys? I forgot if that was a flip or not. I don't know. I think it's time to flip. I think it's time for us to flip it. Okay, another 20 seconds. and then we give it a rotation. So guys, just like this. Just like that. Nice and easy, my friends. Nice active cooking. So again, never trust anybody who tells you, oh, you have to cook a steak only once. Truthfully, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have a good explanation as to why. They never do. They just say, oh, flip it once and only once because that's the way that you do it. Because that's the tradition of how you cook a good steak. Guys, medium heat, medium to high heat, especially if it's a thick steak, medium heat, and flip it often. Flip it often, and then you won't have any problems, okay? So, that's been another 20 seconds or so. Let's go ahead. Oh, guys, look at that crust beginning to really develop now. Look at that crust. Look at that beautiful crust, my friends. So why oil and not butter? And that's because butter burns easily. Butter isn't a pure fat. It's not refined. Butter has what's called milk solids inside of it. That's a bunch of little proteins and sugars. And then it also has some water content. So clarified butter would be okay, but plain old butter, it would just burn too easily. Okay? So guys, steak's going. Once again, little rotation. Little rotation. There we go, another 20 seconds. And then we flip it over. And guys, this way, we get a nice, beautiful, even crust with some time and patience and love. What about margarine? I don't think there's much of a reason to use margarine. Margarine exists because they demonize the animal fats. And also because it's like a little bit cheaper. I would just use vegetable oil. I would just use canola oil. I would not buy margarine to begin with, is my very pretentious answer for you. Okay. Well, it's not even pretentious. I'm just right that I wouldn't do that. Okay? Another 20 seconds, guys. And keep rotating. Keep it rotating. Keep it going. And guys, pay attention. My fond isn't burning. My steak isn't burning either. We're just cooking this really, really gently. Would I say it's easy to clarify butter? Yeah, John Dahlia, I did it once on stream. It was a pretty okay process. The only special equipment you need, so to speak, is just going to be some cheesecloth. Invest in some cheesecloth, and all will be well. Another 20 seconds, and keep it going, guys. Keep it going, keep it going. And just like that. Isn't cooking a steak easy? I think it's pretty easy. Wait, did I already flip it last time? I can't remember if I did. Oh well. I don't remember. Clarifying butter is basically heating it up in a way that we can then filter out all of the milk solids. So that's what it means to clarify butter. Okay, another 20 seconds and then we rotate it. Yeah, that's right, guys. Nothing burnt. All about the heat control. At the end of the day, it's just always going to be heat control. Look at that beautiful steak, huh? That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Can I please get a yes, chef? Okay, we're cooking the steak gently, slowly, evenly. Rotate it. And another 20 seconds. And then we'll flip it around. And then I'm just going to rotate the pan like this for the sake of it. Never blast it with high heat, guys, especially if you're planning to make a pan sauce. Look at my fond on the bottom. It's not scorched, okay? That's because of the fact that we pre-salted it. We dried it out beforehand. Oh, look at these steaks, guys. Look at these steaks. And these are fairly thick. They're really curling up on themselves. These are going to take some time. So, Serena, I didn't know that there was reusable cheesecloth. I didn't know that that was a thing. Okay. And there we go. And guys, look, nothing is sticking, nothing is burning. It's all just cooking really easily. Look at it, guys. Isn't it beautiful? Cooking a steak can be so easy. And yet people, they have no idea what they're talking about when they try to teach others how to cook a steak sometimes. They just spread so much misinformation in regards to flipping it, in regards to heating up a pan. All that we're doing, we're just flipping it often. It doesn't even have to be exactly 20 seconds. It is just a very nice, easy number for us to be able to follow. You can do it 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and it will turn out more than okay. All right, take it and rotate it, everybody. And we're just slowly but surely cooking the steak. Now, Once we flip it again, that is going to be the time that I'm going to just give it a little bit of a temperature probe. I'm going to be shooting for somewhere around 125, 130 or so, okay? What is my opinion on steak tartare, John Dahlia? It is one of my favorite dishes. I love it to death. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Guys, look at that steak. Look at that beautiful, gorgeous steak. Now, I can already tell you right now, with the way that those sides are cooking and how thick the steak is, it's actually still not done yet, okay? It's still not done, and that's okay. It's gonna be a process, guys. It's gonna be some patience. It's just gonna be some love. All right? And then on the next flip, that's when I'll feel comfortable temperature probing it. What we could also do is we could flip it on the sides a little bit to give it some cook time too. What about eating raw steak? Same as well. It's absolutely acceptable if it's a good enough quality steak. I love raw steaks. Yes, unnameless. Putting a steak in the oven after searing is purely a restaurant method for time constraints. 100%. They do that for very thick steaks, and that way you get a bullseye effect. It's actually not optimal. The optimal way would be a reverse sear, in my opinion. Guys, look at the crust. Look at that beautiful crust that we were able to develop together. Just you and me. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my little meat thermometer. And guys, I don't know who it was. Somebody on my throne, hint, hint, exclamation mark, wish list, did buy me the temperature probe I was really wanted for a while. Oh guys, that meat is still somewhat cold on the inside. It's still not all the way. And that's totally fine. That's more than okay. Let's give this side a rotation. That meat is coming along just nicely, okay? What do I think about sous vide? Oh, Vin. So there was a study done about microplastics with sous vide. You should go ahead and look that up. Normally though, it's very nice if you're cooking for a lot of people. Otherwise, at home, it's more so like a fun little experiment to do. Oh wait, is it exclamation mark? Oh, exclamation mark was already typed. I see. Okay. Guys, look at that fond. That fond on the bottom, it's not scorched. It's just nice and dark brown. And that's exactly what we want, because we don't want it to be burnt. If it's burnt, the pan sauce is not going to be correct. So yeah, 26 stacks. Sous vide, as much as I like it and the product that it does, it just takes a lot of time. It's very impractical, and there's some microplastics with it. There was a new study done on sous vide and those implications, which you should probably go ahead and take a little look at. Give that bad boy a rotation. Nice, beautiful crust that we're developing, my friends. And then we're also going to do those little sides as well. Okay, this steak is coming up to temperature slowly but surely. And another 5 seconds, and we'll flip it right onto the sides. And okay, the time is now. Let's give those sides some love, guys. Because you got to give some sides love too, okay? It can't just be all about the tops and bottoms. And again, if it's like really rare on the inside, I'm okay with that too. I personally have no qualms with that whatsoever. I'm more so today just looking for a really, really beautiful crust more than anything else. Okay, give those guys a little rotation. Another 20 seconds. You feel that you lack that passion, that's okay, Shy Chica. My goal is just to be able to excite people while cooking at home. You don't have to have that same kind of passion as me. I just want to get people cooking. I just want to get people cooking specifically at home. Okie dokie. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's flip it onto this side. Oh, guys, look at that steak. Look at that beautiful steak that we have in front of us. Look how gorgeous she is. She is perfect, isn't she? I think she's quite perfect. Okay, and then after this, you know, maybe it'll be done. I don't know. You know, it's like fine if it's not. Take it and we rotate it. So yeah, my fond at this point, because of the fact that this steak was so thick and it was cooking so long, my fond's a little darker than I would like it to be normally, but that's okay. That is more than okay. It won't be the end of the world. Our sauce is still going to come out really delicious. Guys, I promise you, you can push that fond more than you would think. Okay, let's go ahead and poke it again. How is she doing? Okay, she's coming up to temp. 110, 115. Okay, we're closing it at 115. So last two sides, we're just gonna do these guys, okay? And then we're going to rest them, my friends, until we slice into them. Just so that it cools down a little bit, and then it'll do a little bit of carryover cooking once we do take it off. 20 seconds on this side, 20 seconds on that side, and then it's going to carry over the rest of the temperature, okay? Astra, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Guys, let's go ahead and flip them, and let's go ahead and flip them. Last 20 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and pull it off. And then we'll be building the beautiful pan sauce of our dreams. We'll slice the steak, and it will be all good to go. Also, Bent Knee, thank you so much for the sub. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that this steak is done. That steak is perfect all the way around. Here's our pan, okay? Here's our pan. We have all of this beautiful stuff that we call fond. So here is the first step. I'm going to shut off the heat for a second. We're shutting off the heat. We have to just cool it down for a second, okay? First thing that we're going to do, I don't want any peanut oil inside of my final sauce. The peanut oil itself isn't particularly delicious. It is just a neutral oil, and in fact, if anything, it's a little burnt at this stage. So we're not wiping off the fond because the fond itself is all stuck to the bottom. All I'm doing is I'm just blotting this dry. We're taking some fond with us, but most of it is just the peanut oil that we've taken off. We're letting the pan just chill out for 1 second. We're going to add in some butter. The butter is not going to be scorched, the butter is not going to be burnt, the butter is just going to be ready to go to be able to go ahead and build this lovely sauce. So we take it back, low heat this time, everybody, nice low heat. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a nice chunk of butter from my refrigerator. If I could get it out of the butter dish, please and thank you, that would be very nice. Why do my tongs keep snapping like that? I wish they would chill out a little bit. Okay, nice chunk of butter, guys. Goes inside. Low heat is key because if our heat is high, we'll end up browning and burning our butter subsequently, okay? Low heat. Okay? And now, my friends, and now into that butter is going to go my lovely shallots, okay? So there you go. Low heat, everybody, because again, we don't want to burn the fond. All that we want to do at this stage is we just want to go ahead and just slightly infuse the shallots into the butter. We want to get the shallots slightly softened, as well as all of my peppercorns. My peppercorns go in, and guys, I mean a lot of peppercorns. Did you see how much black pepper I just added? That was a lot of black pepper. And we're going to fry the shallots in a nice low heat. If you do a high heat, you're going to end up burning the shallots. And guys, and now it all just smells so incredible. It smells like black pepper, it smells like butter, and it smells like shallots. Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so just continue to scrape it up because again, we're not looking for my shallots or my black pepper to burn at this stage. We just want them to toast. We just want them to fry. We just want them to infuse into the butter. Okay, so we're stirring it around, we're stirring it around, we're stirring it all around, guys. Okay, just like that. Letting it go for a little bit longer. And then we'll be deglazing it. And what does it mean to deglaze? We're adding in some liquid to be able to dissolve what we call the fond. All of those stuck proteins and sugars at the bottom of the pan, that once we introduce some additional moisture, they'll melt right back in, okay? And so, my pepper is toasted. Oh, my shallots are toasted, everybody. And now, really important, don't do this over an open flame, right? I don't have any exposed flame. It could catch on fire if you do. A bunch of my whiskey goes right in, and this is called deglazing. We've added in some moisture, and now we can just scrape up all of the stuff that is stuck at the bottom. And guys, this is the beginning of a beautiful pan sauce. Come take a look. We scrape it up, guys. We take the whiskey and we move it around. We take it and we scrape it up, we scrape it up. You see that dark color? All of that. Those are all of the beefy juices that evaporated. We're putting it back into the sauce. Is everybody watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef. So now we're just evaporating the alcohol really quickly and we're continuing to deglaze. We're moving around all of that whiskey. We're moving around all of that liquid, all of that moisture that we have. And we're just making sure that there's no little bits stuck anywhere at all. Okay? That looks gorgeous. That smells gorgeous. It does still strongly smell overall whiskey. So I'm quite confident that it's not done evaporating. And then we'll add in, my friends, the heavy cream to be able to finish off my beautiful sauce. We'll add salt and we'll finish it with all of my fresh herbs. There you go. That smells lovely. That looks lovely at the moment. It's almost there, everybody. All of that fond, okay? And now we're going to go in with a bunch of heavy cream. What kind of whiskey was it? I don't know. I think some bourbon of some sort. A bunch of heavy cream. How much heavy cream? Truthfully, no clue. I just completely eyeballed it. And now, guys, let's mix it in. Let's not splash it all over my kitchen, please. We're going to bring this up to a medium or so. And we're going to be stirring this often. And now the goal is to basically just let this sauce infuse. We got to let the shallots basically melt on in. And we're going to be stirring it often. And once it evaporates, once we reduce this a little bit more, guys, it's going to thicken up beautifully, okay? It's going to thicken as we get rid of some of the moisture from Mr. Heavy Cream. But if we don't stir it, we could end up breaking what is called the emulsion. It could end up splitting. All the fat could just sort of rise to the top. And that is not what you and I are looking for, is it? So, in fact, a whisk would be probably, good here as well. A silicone spatula. Just use any tool that seems most convenient to you for this type of task. Tastes really, really good at the moment. But the thing that it is missing is going to be some salt. Can you curse here? Me, I try to keep it PG-13. You can do whatever you want. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do some salt. Maybe that was a little much salt, but that's okay. And guys, all we got to do, we got to heat this up and gently cook it until it thickens. Gently, gently, gently is the key to this, okay? Stirring it often. So, that was a lot of cream. I know it was a lot of cream, but I don't think I'll be using it all. Chef, does it have to be whiskey, cognac, brandy? Honestly, anything would be fine. That's my answer to you, ultimately. It doesn't have to be whiskey. I use whiskey because that's what I had at home. Honestly, just as long as it's like any flavored alcohol like that, right? Or rather, not something like a vodka because it's completely flavorless, but the fact that like whiskey, cognac, brandy, they all have a little something. Now that's beginning to get there, my friends. That is beginning to have some real flavor to it. But again, it's not done yet, okay? Because again, this all just has to cook down now. It has to cook down. It's going to get nice and thick and rich. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? Yeah, a cup of heavy cream, I would say, is a very considerable amount, all things considered. Okay? And again, why am I stirring it so often? It's because I don't want any of the solids from the cream to be stuck and burning to the bottom, okay? That's always a very, very real risk. If you overheat it, if it overboils, it could end up splitting and then you'll just get like this watery mess, which is not what we're looking for, guys. So stir it often, be gentle, scrape up the sides, put it all back inside. And as it cooks, those shallots are really, really infusing. Chef, is there a cuisine you'd like to explore more? All of them, Alvin. Every single last one of them. I'd love to get better with all of them. Does Chef have a favorite vegan meal? A favorite vegan meal? So I would just say like a lot of like Indian lentil dishes. They're not explicitly vegan. It's more like, this is the kind of thing that people have been eating for a long time. But, I just love lentils to death. I love lentils to death. Lentils and rice, you can't really go wrong in my eyes, in my mind. Okay, guys, look at it. The sauce is just gently bubbling away now. It is becoming so flavorful, and we're only going to add the herbs in at the end so that it doesn't become too wilted, so that we don't lose all the flavor out of the herbs. We just want to heat it through so it softens, but nothing else, okay? So just keep it going. Keep it cooking, everybody. It's going to be a bit of a slow burn, quite literally. And guys, that flavor, that pepperiness, So, 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 so delicious, okay? And so all we're looking for it to pick up some viscosity. We're slowly cooking it down. We're almost like caramelizing the cream on the edges of the pan and then stirring it back in. You guys can see how thick and rich it's all becoming. But we want it to become even thicker. Because guys, remember, it can't be too thick. You'd love to see some African dishes on the show? Godzillas, I would love to do some African dishes. The issue is some specific ingredients. I wanted to do Ethiopian food specifically for a very long time. The issue is some ingredients are a little bit difficult to come by for me. And the thing that I like to show off is things available to me. Right? Things that are like easily available within my home kitchen, within my home setting. And so the reason why I haven't done many African dishes is because I just actually literally don't have access to some of the things that I would like to use. But I would love to do Ethiopian food someday. Okay. Guys, it's getting there. The whiskey flavor is cooked out. The cream is nice and seasoned. We got the pepper in there infusing. We have the shallots in there for the sweetness. Guys, this is becoming a really serious sauce. Do you guys see the sauce? Do you guys understand how delicious this thing is? Guys, that is good. That is so good, my friends. Oh, I would love to do a jollof rice. Add the drippings to the sauce. Now, that's a good idea. My only issue with that is it would kind of end up thinning it out. Chat, do we add the resting juices of the beef into the sauce? What do you think? I wasn't originally planning on it, but now that you've suggested it, I think that's a good idea. I would just need to evaporate it for a longer... Yeah, let's do it. I've already decided. Let's go ahead and get all of those lovely beef juices that have rested, that have been pushed out of the beef. Let's get all of that stuff inside. Okay? And then it's got to cook a little longer now because we added in those juices, right? Because now that has to evaporate too. But that was an excellent suggestion. Thank you. I don't know who it was that suggested that. That was Shy Chica. Oh, not Shy Chica. Who was it? I don't know who said it. Somebody did. Somebody did. But that will make it infinitely times more delicious. Okay. Guys, it's almost done. Again, we're just gently cooking it, gently stirring it. Yeah, you got those beef drippings, those resting juices. Amazing. Look at that sauce, my friends. Look at that beautiful, beautiful sauce. Do you understand the sheer amount of beefiness that it has, huh? And once this is done, guys, all we gotta do, we just gotta slice the steak. We gotta pour some sauce on it. We can even put like the slices of steak back in, but I'd rather just pour the sauce on top. Something like that. Ooh. Okay, guys, honestly, I think that's a good viscosity that we've just hit. That is the level of creaminess that I would want. So, let's give it one more taste for salinity. Perfectly salted, really delicious sauce. Everybody, all of my fresh cilantro and my basil goes in now. We've shut off the heat. It goes in now, and we stir it all in. And this is also now just going to gently infuse. And that is my peppercorn herb sauce. That is ready to go. Everybody, are you ready to slice into some steak? No, Jack, you can't go to sleep quite yet. We're about to slice into the steak, Jack. You gotta hold on for this one. Is everybody ready for this? This is the moment that we've all been waiting for. The steak has been properly rested. It's gonna be nice and juicy, hopefully nice and medium rare. We're gonna plate it up. We're gonna plate up the salad, and then we are gonna have a feast. So guys, my sauce is done. I think so, at least. Yeah, my sauce looks wonderful at the moment. Just stirring it up to make sure it doesn't flame my skin. I'm gonna grab one of my steaks. Okay, guys, you ready to go into this? So, when we're cutting a steak, we're looking to cut it perpendicular to the grain. The grain is just gonna be a bunch of muscle fibers going one direction. So you guys see how the muscle fibers, they're all going this way? We wanna cut it perpendicular to that so that they're nice and short, and that gives us a much more tender steak. First thing that I'll do though, is I just wanna inspect the direction of the fibers. It seems like they are indeed flowing that way. So if they're flowing that way, I wanna first just cut this bad boy in half. And guys, look at this juicy, beautiful steak. That's one proper steak. That is a steak. In fact, let's just do big slices today, I think. That's 1, 2, that's 3. Oh yeah. Everybody, this steak is some serious business. This steak is not messing around. Oh, I'm gonna have this whole piece of beef on it, Chat, do I deserve all this steak? Guys, that is so good. That is so tender. That is so juicy. Okay, everybody? Let's go ahead and grab a little plate for him that we'll be eating the steak on. Let's get rid of my cutting board. Let's get him out of here, everybody. And now we gotta pour in some of that lovely sauce that we have. Let's wipe this down, get all of these little bits off of my table. This is my steak. Everybody, let's just fan him out. Let's fan him out really, really gently, just so that we can show off that beautiful inside that we've so developed. Guys, look at that steak. Look at that beautiful steak, okay? And then I'm gonna grab a nice big old spoon. I'm just gonna stir down my sauce. Okay, I'm gonna grab my plate and I'm gonna go ahead and just spoon some of that lovely sauce all around the steak itself. Let's do a couple of big old spoons for you, because truthfully, I think I deserve some steak. Had a long day today. Guys, I'm gonna take a picture. That's how Reddit I'm gonna be about this. That's how nice it came out that I think I'm gonna take a picture of it. That looks really good. And guys, let's not forget about Mr. Salad. We've had him chilling out and sitting in the fridge this whole time. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a nice big bowl of that salad that we've also worked so hard in developing and getting ready for today. Okay. Okay, just scoop all that stuff on. Okay. Everybody, we have done it. We have done everything that we've needed to do today. We have made this incredible steak, and we've also made this incredible salad. Let's first talk about the salad. We got blackberries, tomatoes, onions soaked in lime and lemon juice. Everybody, I need to hear you nice, yes, chef. Some lemon zest, cucumbers, onions, basil, and cilantro. And this steak, guys, beautiful skirt steak, dry-brined it, made a pan sauce out of some whiskey, out of some heavy cream, okay? Out of some whiskey, out of some heavy cream. We added in some shallots, a bunch of black peppercorns, okay? We also added in, what else did we add in? We added in some final basil, we added in some final cilantro, okay? It was a thick skirt steak. I'm kind of suspicious that it even was a skirt steak to begin with. But guys, we have to dig in. Let's go ahead and get a nice, proper center cut piece now. Okay? This steak knife kind of sucks. Let's go ahead and get some sauce on it. Let's have a little bite. I'm fairly certain it is true toilet. My friends, that is a perfectly cooked steak. Do you see how evenly it was cooked too? That's all that flipping, guys. That constant flipping. Do not sleep on it under any circumstances. That is how you get that even, perfect cook all the way throughout. Oh, that is so good. And then let's have some of the salad. Let's not forget about him, okay? Some blackberries. And that's it. Everybody, that was my steak. That was my salad. Thank you all for watching. Guys, we stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT. First and foremost, go to the backup channel. We're going to be slowly migrating out of this channel because I'm not going to be able to get Twitch partner on this one because of this account's creation date. Go follow Daramgar TV. Type in ! backup. We're going to be migrating there slowly. I'll give you guys a specific date of when that switch is going to happen. Go to Daramgar TV. Please, please, please. It's really important. Second of all, ! Patreon if you'd like to support the cooking show. My goal is to be able to do this full time one day. Everybody, please support the Patreon if you are financially able to do so. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a really good night. I'm going to see you all in 2 days' time, this Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT. As always, thank you all. Thank you all for being with me. Hope you all have a good night. Be safe, be well, and I'll see you then.